Wait, I want to know more about your new tattoos.
Wait, check this.
That's the lecture we're doing, and I'm a whore.
Oh, I have to.
It says slut.
Darn. Jackson, you're gonna go to hell for that.
Roland wrote it on me, so actually he's the one going to hell. I was hazed, you know.
You're getting a call. Hey, stop it.
Well,
hello?
put this on my head.
We're having fun without you, so bye. No, who told you to go to the fucking woods? What woods are you even in? What the fuck?
I achieved fork.
There's wood. Those aren't woods. We're indoors. We're indoors and not wandering around.
Dude, it's like 96 degrees outside.
So hot.
You're wandering around the woods like an idiot while we're inside with air conditioning. So.
Alright, well, tell me where you are right now. I'll head over you. Do the Marble Hornets lecture wherever you guys are.
We're in the basement, Tyler's basement.
Fine. Alright, I'm heading over, okay?
All right. God, I can't believe that.
Do you remember when you want to do the Marble Hornets lecture outside in winter?
Yo, we totally should. So,
Sorry guys. Hi. How's everyone doing?
You got your patch?
Let's get ready for the marble. The fuck? Who did this?
Who did what?
What?
We want a FNAF lecture.
Oh, gee, okay, alright, fine.
yeah, you belong here now, slut.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 5 Nights at Freddy's lecture. I brought myself 5 Night Feddy right here.
Wow, bootleg dunk. Bootleg.
Really
Poor.
Yeah, so you want just take that?
He's not life size. What the hell?
Wait, where is it? I want it.
Alright. Now,
Yeah.
one thing you may know about 5 Night Feddy's is that it has a lot of lore. And that's why I brought the 5 Nights at Feddy's lore Bible here that has all the answers y'all want. I stole this from Scott Compton's house. So y'all better watch out as I explain this shit. But that's part 2 of this lecture. Because you need to know all about what the fuck these games are and why they exist. And I need to explain to you the history of 5 Nights Feddy's. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure we're not doing the Marble Hornets lecture today?
Fuck Marble Hornets. That shit's mid.
You went funny
Okay.
bear.
What mid?
Hey, I want to see the Marble Hornets lecture. Okay, Roland. Just
All right, that's a vote.
I'm waiting for it, but I want to hear this first.
Dude, you tattooed FNAF to your arm. Be on our team.
That's real, by the way.
What?
Oh yeah, did we get that on?
Oh yeah, I
camera?
know. Yeah.
Alright.
Real.
Is that, we calm down? Demerit. Because y'all are trying to talk me into doing this, and then you're going to talk over me while I'm doing the lecture.
Yeah, welcome to Shock at You.
Alright, fuck you. We're going to start off, alright? There's a 16-year-old, right? The year is 1994. This 16-year-old said, fuck it, I'm going to make a video game. And he does, and it's called Doofus. Spelt with an A. Now this game, I said, was made in 1994, and in the game, you play as an MS Paint drawing of a dragon, collecting MS Paint drawings of coins in an MS Paint drawing of a grass field. Needless to say, it was not very good, but this game predates Cave Story by 10 years. This game predates Toho by 2 years.
What does that have to do? Why should I be impressed?
We're talking about 5 Night Feddy's. Demerit.
Because it's old, Edward.
Does it predate
It's
Sonic
old.
the Hedgehog? I
They're
don't think so.
bombs.
I don't know, okay? When did Sonic the Hedgehog come out?
1991.
Damn.
Then it didn't.
That shit up, dude.
It predates Lion King. Does that make you feel better?
Predates life.
It
predates
My
me.
point is, this is a very early video game, especially for something being made by a 16-year-old, possibly in his computer lab, and he just fucking did it, and it was like, what's up? And then next year, in 1995, he makes another game called The Floppy Disk. What was the floppy disk?
What's a floppy disk?
Yo, what
It's called Floppy Disk.
What's a floppy disk?
Demerit, get out. Already, Ed? Really? Okay. No, I'm serious. Get out. don't let the fiberglass hit you.
I got the bear on my side. He's cool.
You know what?
Yeah.
Fine. But if he gets out, you get out. So you better hope he's on his best behavior.
I'll keep him safe.
All right. So cut forward. This kid, it's 2002. This kid is now like 24 years old,
Oh, that was
and he
a long
decides
time.
to release his third game. It's called RPG Max. A year later, he releases his next game, RPG Max 2.
Whoa.
Question.
What is he doing, like, as a real job while this is going on?
He might be. I know at some point he gets a job at a Dollar General, but
Working at Papa's restaurant.
right now he's just making video games. I believe he has a wife and children now.
Grown ass man.
Grown ass man.
Grown ass man.
This grown ass man makes 15 other games in the same year as RPG Max
Whoa.
2.
Whoa.
That's a lot of fucking games, am I right,
And
guys?
wait, one of those games is it that Christian one he made? The
I
Chinese
think
game? For the
one of
movie?
them might be. I know he made the Christian RPG at some point. I forgot when he made that or what it's called.
Yeah.
But in 2012, by 2012, this man has created 40 games in his whole lifetime. So big deal, kind of weird. But none of them were ever played by any human being on Earth until he releases his first big hit. This is called The Desolate Hope, and 5 people play it, which is a big number when your first score was 0. So The Desolate Hope actually gets an audience and people start playing it. And this encourages Scott Cawthon, who is the guy who I haven't named yet, to make more fucking video games. And so he thinks, all right, I finally got an audience, it's time to make it big.
Beaver and Sons.
How exaggeratory is that 5 people?
It might have been closer to like 50 people, but it was a small number, everything considered. He decides to make a new game, but this one he's going to put on Steam Greenlight. For those of you who don't know, Steam Greenlight was an old service where you could put your game up onto like Steam and have people vote on whether or not they'd buy it. And if enough people voted yes, your game would go on Steam. This became very notorious as people would just put like 50 games on Steam Greenlight at once and hope one of them got voted for so they could say, I had a game on Steam. Because that was like a big deal, especially for game developers. So Steam Greenlight, he's like, I'm gonna make a game. It's called Chipper & Sons Lumber Company. Let's go. And it's a tycoon game where you play as a little beaver dude and he's running around chopping down wood, and he puts this game all together and he makes a trailer for it, and he's like, the audiences are gonna love this game.
What'd the audience say?
Well, the best way to describe the reception of this game is that there's an old internet reviewer called James Stephanie Sterling. She did a whole series where she would review Steam Greenlight games, and she talked about Chipper & Sons Lumber Company when it was put on Steam, and she said that it was shit. Bad. It looked ugly. All the character models were like really fucking creepy when they were trying to be cutesy, and it looked so weird. It was like they were animatronics that were like moving around and acting creepy. And what is up with that? And so the reception of this game was bad, very, very bad, because it just suddenly jumped from having 50 people looking at it to like 100,000, maybe 1 million people who saw this. So let's talk about Scott Cawthon. I mentioned that he has a wife and kids, and he is currently working at a Dollar General, and that job is miserable. He wants to get into game development because it's his biggest passion, but he can't do it because not enough people are playing his games. And now all of a sudden he has the most attention he's ever had before, and it's all negativity. So he decides he's going to make one last game. And if this game is successful, then he will continue game development. And if it's not, then he will give it up forever and continue working at Dollar General. So you might have figured out what the fuck that game is. Yeah. That's the story of how Five Nights at Freddy's was born. He decides... What?
What? That's the end.
Yeah, that's the end. Thanks, guys. Shock University. Come back for the Marble Hornets lecture. Bye, guys.
Ouch.
All right.
Shit,
Thank you.
wait.
Finally done.
I think I have more here that I need to talk about. Oh yeah, that was the first.
Just like 5 minutes, right?
3 hours
I think I said
later.
3 hours or something. I might have overestimated. But... Okay, so the reason Five Nights at Freddy's gets made as it is because Scott Cawthon heard that his characters were horrifying, that they looked like creepy animatronic dolls, so he said, you know what, let's work with that. Let's make a game about creepy animatronic dolls and scare the shit out of people. And he's like, alright, I'm making all these games on a program called Click Team Fusion, which is made for point-and-click adventure games, so I can't really have characters moving around. So I have to come up with an excuse where you're standing in one location and somehow make it frightening. And so, if you don't know, Five Nights at Freddy's is a game where you sit in one location, you're a security guard, 4 animatronics are trying to kill you, and the only way to survive is to close the doors before they get to you. But you can't keep the doors closed because they take up power, and you only have a limited amount of power, so you have to close the doors when they're right at the doors. But you don't know if they're going to be at the doors or not unless you check the cameras, and the cameras take up power, so you have to use the cameras to figure out if they're at the doors or not, so you can close the doors right when they're at the doors. And then there's a 4th animatronic named Foxy who needs to be looked at the camera at all times, because if you're not looking at him, then he can move around, and if he moves too much, he'll go straight to your door and kill you.
And then the scariest part, you're being paid minimum wage.
Oh shit! Fuck no!
It's like below the
Not just minimum wage in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's fucked.
Yeah.
Question.
So basically, it's a game about paying attention to different things and balancing all of your different responsibilities, but with a horror flavoring.
It is a resource management horror game.
Okay.
The best way I've heard people describe it is that it's like a castle defense or like a tower defense horror game where you have to defend using resource management, that kind of shit. That's the vibe. That's the jam. So this game blew up, and it blew up because of this one guy who played it. I don't know if you've heard of it. His name is Mark Fishbach. He made a video. He posted it on YouTube, and the title goes, in all caps, warning, scariest game in years, line, Five Nights at Freddy's.
I was there.
I was there too. I want you to imagine little old Roland going to bed. He has his 3DS on. He's looking at his subscriptions to see like what videos he can watch on the YouTube app on his 3DS. And he stumbles upon this video and is like, okay, I think I'll watch it. And then he does. And he's like, oh, that's a pretty cool game. And then he wakes up the next day and it's the biggest hit of the season. Like, what the fuck? That's pretty crazy, right? So why was this game so popular? Other than the fact that it had a big audience that was garnered by Mark Fishbach, who has another name he goes by, I don't know what it is, but
Things Jack's up the guy.
Yeah, something like that. Something like plier.
Mission maybe? I don't know.
Like multipliers, like 2,
Like
doubles.
touchdown.
Yeah,
I think
something
he
like
put
that.
his name in it too.
Yeah, something like that. Like fish pliers, I think. Yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Also, his brother makes furry webcomics. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I found out about it.
All right, so why is this game so popular? Why do people love this game so much? Well, the best way I know how to describe the charm of Five Nights at Freddy's is that it perfectly emulates dream logic. It's not that you're in this creepy environment. It's that you're in this creepy like liminal space that doesn't make sense. And this was before liminal spaces were popular, so that's a pretty big deal to have right off the bat. Like, posters in the hallways will change to newspaper clippings of murders. You'll have some animatronics will just look at the camera straight at you at random points throughout the game. And at one point, there's one fucking poster on the wall that you can look at. And if you look at it, it's a picture of a golden Freddy from the Five Nights at Freddy.
Who's Freddy?
Freddy is one of the... Oh, shit, I haven't mentioned the animatronics.
Yeah.
Okay, Freddy, bear, he's a bear. Bunny, he's a bunny with, like, a guitar. Chica, chicken, she's a she. She eats pizza. And then Foxy, the pirate, is... runs. So there's a golden version of Freddy that you can find on the posters sometimes, and if you look at it and pull your camera down, you see the golden Freddy himself in like an empty suit, and he's just sitting there, and your screen glitches out, and then like if you sit there for too long, your game crashes with a jump scare. Markiplier found this on his playthrough of the game, and it was very, very popular when this happened. It was a big deal, because there's a 1 in 1,000 chance of this happening.
Oh, man.
And people's minds were blown when they found out about this Easter egg, because everyone learned it through Markiplier, and shit, that's crazy, right? What the fuck? Why is there a golden Freddy in the video game? What's that have to do with anything? And that's where we get to the second part. the lore. Remember when I mentioned there were newspaper clippings that could show up at some time mentioning murders of children? Throughout the game, you'll find like mentionings of like, hey, the animatronics sometimes smell like rotting flesh for some reason, and one of them bit someone's forehead off in 1987.
The bite of 87!
The bite of 87? That's kind of weird. What the fuck is going on with that? So there became a huge community trying to figure out, trying to connect these dots together and figure out what is the plot of this game, because it's very dis-centered, it's very disconnected from each other. And so if you play this game normally, you have an idea of what's happening, but you don't know like how the kids died, or like why are there 5 kids that died instead of 4. Things like that. And
Golden Freddy.
Golden Freddy, ooh. And so there's all these murders that happened. And the main consensus that people came to was that some murderer killed these kids, put their bodies into suits to hide them, and then those kids possessed the animatronics, and that's why they're trying to kill you.
Naturally.
Another guy that's pretty popular, his name's like Matthew something. He makes videos about theories on games. And he makes a video about what he thinks is going on at Five Nights at Freddy's. And his conclusion he comes to is that Five Nights at Freddy's is based off of a real series of murders that happened at a Chuck E. Cheese. And Golden Freddy is the one survivor from that Chuck E. Cheese murder situation where the guy stayed limp and didn't get murdered because he thought he was already dead. And also Five Nights at Freddy's is hell, and you're the murderer and you're in hell. This theory kind of popped off. People were like, wow, that's pretty good. Nice job, Matt, whatever your name is. Who are you?
Oh, Matt Patt.
And so already you can see 2 big pillars of this newly forming community who are 2 of the most popular gaming YouTubers at the time. You have Markiplier, who's known for doing Let's Plays of horror games, probably the biggest, like, the biggest horror Let's Player on the internet still to this day, and definitely back then. And then you have Game Hypothesis, or whatever his name was, and he is the big like lore master guy who tells you exactly what's going on in video games. Lore master. Of course, as we all know, I'm the actual lore master because I stole the lore book from Scott Cawthon's wardrobe. I broke into his house. I'm admitting this on camera, so if the police ever need to come to my door, I didn't do anything.
I don't think the police are watching. I've seen our metrics.
I know the police watch Five Nights at Freddy's videos. I saw that clip.
They dropped like pipe bomb, and then they paid, and then they got
We're gonna kill Biden.
ooh, pipe bomb, pipe bomb, pipe bomb, pipe bomb, pipe bomb.
What the fuck's a pipe bomb, anyways?
How to make a bomb on Google.
These are the most, I just want to say these are the most like well-kept notes I've ever seen. So let's talk about like what's going on in this game. I talked a little bit about like there's a murder that happened and these kids died, but let's talk about like some of the specifics. The character you play as, you learn his name because you get a paycheck at the end of the day. Your name is Mike Schmidt. At the end of the game, you get a check that's dated November 12th, 19XX. Since your paydays are on Fridays, people figured out that this takes place in 1993. So there's that. There's a guy that calls you every morning on the phone. His name is Phone Guy, a very creative name. And he mentions stuff like the bite of 87 and how you should go limp if the animatronics come into your room, and how they're kind of acting weird, and how they break into his house and kill him at night or something. And then there's some weird garbled noises on the 5th night. I don't know what that's about.
It sounds like this is all intrigue and flavoring.
There's a lot of intrigue going on here because there's a lot of question marks being built right now, and there's just enough answer points to where people feel like satisfied with like some parts of it, but they want more, right?
Got it.
So we're kind of building this up a bit. So after the 5th night, there's a 6th night. And if you finish the 6th night, I believe your character gets fired for smelling bad or something. Hi, Vaughn. And after you finish the 6th night, there's a 7th night. And the 7th night is a custom night where you get to set the difficulty level of all the animatronics because they were programmed where they move based off of like a 1 in 20 chance thing, where like depending on their level they roll a d20, and if they roll below their level then they get to move. And it was very easy to make a custom mode for it, so he just did. Later on, Scott added an Easter egg where if you put the difficulty settings to 1987, there's a little jump scare that happens with Golden Feddy, implying he was the one behind the bite of 87. Yes.
This sounds very, very made up as it went along.
Oh, does it? Have you figured that? Is that what that sounds like? I don't know, man. I think he planned all the way to 2018 with Ultimate Custom Night, which also has lore, by the way. But
What? It does?
yeah,
God fucking what?
we'll get to it. It's
It's like
funny.
fucking Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory.
It is. It literally is. All right.
Yeah, right there.
So, if you haven't figured out by now, you probably know already. If you've heard this name ever before in your life, this game was really successful, and so a sequel was inevitable. And Scott Cawthon announces that he's going to be releasing a sequel in 2015, and then he finishes it like really early, like earlier than he expected to get it finished.
No,
so he said, "Fuck it." He released it in November.
When in the history of game making has anyone ever been ahead of schedule?
Yeah.
This
Scott Cawthon's
only
amazing.
Scott Cawthon.
This dude dropped like
This is
an
a really
entire
cool thing
trilogy
called
in the
being an
span of a
independent
year.
In
developer.
less than a year.
Less than a
Also,
These
just
four
go
games
look at
came out in the
Telltale
span of a year. This game was expected to come out in like Halloween, and then he released it in like the summer. So these games come out fucking early, right? So he makes Five Nights at Freddy's. Actually, I didn't mention, because I played all of these games to give you my thoughts on them. Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is just eh. It's an anxiety simulator, and it's not really much fun to play. If you're really into resource management and you want to have like a heart attack because you don't want to get jump scared, it's fine. It's not that good of a game. I think it's a little overhyped. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, on the other hand, is actually an enjoyable experience. And this is the fan favorite of the series. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there are now 10 animatronics. Technically 12, but we'll get to that. Maybe even 13, and I might have miscounted all the notes here.
Maybe even
But,
69.
So how it works is that there's now 10 animatronics. There are toy animatronics, which are like Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy
Dildo
Chica.
Man.
And they're like security drones that are walking around. They have scanners in their eyes or something so they can see if like you're a threat or not. There's a 4th toy animatronic that's not really, we'll get to it, called Mingle. It appears that she's supposed to be a toy Freddy, but she's so like messed up that like she's just sort of a snake crawling on the ground, and she doesn't really work as an animatronic meant for children. Are you two okay? Oh, I thought you were going to lay on top of each other. I thought I was going to get very intrigued. There are also withered versions of the 4 animatronics. The lore explanation is that this game takes place before Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and these are the animatronics from this game that are just sort of destroyed and being repaired so they can be sent to the restaurant in this game. That's like Withered Chica, Withered Bonnie, Withered Freddy, Withered Foxy. They have really cool designs, especially Withered Bonnie, because he just has like his head ripped off and like you can see the insides. Yes?
So the withered versions are actually from the past, and they got refurbished and made to look new by the time FNAF 1 happened?
Yes.
That's confusing, but okay.
This game, okay, it will make more sense when we get to the lore parts of it, but these are the same animatronics from this game, but before they were repaired because they were damaged at some point.
Got it.
And they like have these really cool designs and stuff. Toy Chica, I should mention, while she's headed to your security room, takes her beak off so you can see like the insides of her voice box and stuff, and it's really creepy, and people like that a lot. And also it might be important to the lore, I don't know. Alright. There were no more doors, by the way. In this game, instead of there being doors, you have a giant hallway in front of you that they all come through, and so you can see them right before they get to your door. There are also 2 vents that they can enter through from your sides that you have to like shine a light into to see if there are any animatronics in there. In order to survive, you can't, because there's no doors, you have to put on like a Freddy mask to make them think you're just another animatronic suit, and they'll leave you alone. I mentioned 8 animatronics. There's 2 more I need to mention. Balloon Boy, Balloon Boy just enters your room and makes it so you can't use your flashlight anymore. And if you don't have your flashlight, then you die. And then there's Mangle. Not Mangle, sorry. Marionette. Marionette is the main villain, I guess, of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. They work in that, like, you have to keep a music box wound up to keep them in a box. And if you don't keep the music box wound up, then they attack you automatically and you lose. The only way to keep it wound up is to go into your cameras to their room and like wind it up manually. So this creates the system where you have to go into the camera, wind up the music box, put it down, look into all the hallways. If there's an animatronic in the vents, then put your mask on, go back, wind it up. Uh-oh, your camera got pulled up by an animatronic that's looking you dead in the eyes, and you have to put your mask on really quick before you die. It is very satisfying to get this sort of play pattern down, and I was starting to have fun with it by the end. It starts off creepy, but once you get over it, it's fun. And that's most of it. Oh, pretty much all of these games are like, they're creepy until they're not, and then they're either like monotonous or kind of fun, kind of satisfying to like pull this like stunt off. So that's Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That's how the game plays. Shit, where was I in my... Here we go. Let's talk about the lore real quick. Also, Markiplier played this game, started a tradition of him playing the game. But in this game, you play as a little guy called Jeremy Fitzgerald. Fuck, what the fuck? The year is 1987.
Wow.
Zoom in on my face real quick. The year is 1987. You're in a separate location from FNAF 1. This takes place before FNAF 1, because FNAF 1 took place in 1983. Fuck.
Wait, FNAF 1 took place in 83, and this takes...
93.
93.
93, 87.
Got it.
So, the phone guy is back, and he calls you on your phone and is like explaining to you the mechanics and what you should be doing. On the 6th night, he calls you and says you should not be there. The store is closed. So that's pretty cool. And then on the 7th night, you're not actually playing as Jeremy Fitzgerald. You're playing as another character called like Fritz Smith or something.
Yeah.
Who just showed up for one day and got fired for smelling bad.
Yeah.
What else? The toy animatronics specifically are not possessed. The wither animatronics are. Also, there's a chance that an endoskeleton can just walk into your room and be like, "Sup, bitch," and he doesn't do anything. He just walks into your room and disappears. So that's really interesting.
Possessed by who, Roland?
I don't think he's possessed by anyone. I think it's just an endoskeleton. That's
No,
just
like
around.
who are the wither who are they possessed by? The wither.
Oh, the withered animatronics are possessed by the dead kids from FNAF 1, if you remember.
So crazy.
I know, right?
Did you talk about that and I missed it? That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
So there's the reason I said 12 instead of 10 animatronics at the beginning is that there are 2 secret animatronics. One is not so secret, and it's Golden Freddy. On the 6th night, he'll show up and like mess with you, and he sort of works the same way he does in FNAF 1, where if you don't put your mask on fast enough, he just jump scares you. But there's a secret animatronic called Shadow Bonnie, but that's not his actual name. Do I have his actual name listed here? Shit, I have to, right? I don't. Holy shit, I don't. It's like RXQFCSZ, bunch of letters.
FCP,
Yeah, like get him, like the FCP remix, you know? And basically, he can show up in your room at random times, like Golden Freddy, but there's no real cause for it. He just shows up and starts spouting letters in the Microsoft Sam voice, and if you wait there too long, he crashes your game. Not even with a jump scare.
What a dick.
Yeah, kind of an asshole. The fuck? Oh
no!
I figured it out. I'm on the wrong side of the thing.
It goes too deep.
Okay, this is important because this game introduces the death mini games. If you die in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there's a chance that you get brought to like an Atari-style mini game where you play out an event in the lore. And it's like really fucking weird. Like there's one mini game where you're Freddy and you're walking in a restaurant serving people cupcakes or whatever, and then in the background you see this child crying, and then a guy rolls up in like an SUV, and he steps out and he's purple. And he kills the kid and then drives away.
He steps out and he's purple.
This guy becomes known as the purple guy.
What a fucking surprise.
And he is, quote unquote, the man behind the slider. No!
In middle school, everyone wanted to fuck him, and I don't know why.
Tyler, what the fuck did you just say to me?
No one's worried.
If we get to the end of this lecture and you still want to fuck him, I'm going to send you to therapy.
I used to want to fuck purple guy.
Yeah, the purple guy's sex appeal fucking ended.
Tyler, I might be confused. Did you say you're attracted to him?
No, people in middle school, like
Yes,
all of the hot topic goth girls and half the guys.
In the game, he's literally like a pixelated sprite that's all purple. Like, there's literally no sex appeal.
It's the same way that Princess Peach is just a girl, but you can draw her.
He's like the one slur.
Yeah, there's so much purple guy porn.
I think it's just because he's so edgy, you know. He like kills kids and stuff. He's kind of,
Oh, like Jeff the Killer kind of thing.
This was like just at the end of like the
Ted Bundy.
what's the guy's
children
name?
is so
Jeff
hot.
the Killer.
Yeah, Jeff the Killer.
So
Okay.
everyone was
Jeff the
like
Killer.
fucking like serial killers and
yeah, that was
It was
hot.
the creepypasta era.
Is that you
I
wanted to
remember.
fuck a serial killer?
Jackson was
You wanted
there.
to fuck Dexter.
I was there.
So there's a bunch of weird lore shit like that. I'm just gonna spitfire a bunch of kind of lore stuff we learned from these mini games. The reason all the animatronics are possessed is because the marionette actually stuffed the children inside of the suits. It was their doing. What a dick, I know. I think it's just that and the purple guy killed people. I think that's literally all the lore we learned from these mini games. That's all I have listed, so that has to be the only stuff that's important. And it's in Scott Cawthon's own lore Bible, so that has to be it. What else? Oh, shoot. I mentioned that once you beat Custom Night, you get fired for smelling bad. Yeah, this game also has a Custom Night, blah, 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 blah. Shit, I keep getting on the wrong page and stuff. Is that it? That's it. That's Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That's Five Nights at Freddy's 2, everybody. Whoa! Woo! Now, Game Theory would make a video on Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as well, starting a tradition of him making a video, like 50 videos on Five Nights at Freddy's so far, and I didn't have to count that because they're all in a playlist.
So many.
It's a lot. And the theory he comes up with is the purple guy is the phone guy. Because it's literally the only other character in the game, so you're kind of like, we don't have a lot of options here. So it's either you from this game, or the purple, or the phone guy. There's three options. Maybe it's Fritz Smith. Who knows?
Did we ever talk about the phone guy? Like the guy who...
We mentioned the phone guy a bit. He just calls you at night and is like, "Hey, the animatronics are acting a little weird, but don't worry, they're not like gonna murder you or anything."
Not important in the lore. Like, really.
He's just like a funny little dude.
Yeah, he's just a dude. He's also he's voiced by Scott Cawthon.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because by the way, Scott Cawthon is doing everything in these games: voice acting, graphics, all of that shit.
Yeah.
All right. So Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was even more successful than the first one. People love this one even more, and so a sequel was inevitable. And so in 2015, Scott Cawthon made Five Nights at Freddy 3. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place in the year 2023.
Oh, hey!
Hey!
Oh no!
Uh-oh! Basically, it takes place 30 years after the events of the first game, and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has become so infamous that there's now like an attraction being made after like the horrors of the rumors of the murdered children at this restaurant.
What's their mask policy?
None.
Fazbear mask.
Fazbear mask. Their mask
buy one
policy
at
is
the
none,
door, you
but
can't
they
go
have
in.
horrible ventilation. That's actually going to be important very soon.
I actually don't remember anything about FNAF 3.
Yeah, so in this game, Scott begins promoting these games by releasing little promo images where if you brighten up the screen, you see little Easter eggs inside of it. It's a little cool. We're introduced to this weird guy that's like a rabbit dude, but yellow. Ooh. And there's another image that's a bunch of like animatronic pieces in a box. So people started thinking that this yellow rabbit fella is an amalgamation of all the other animatronics from the previous games, and they called him Amalgam. Until it was confirmed that his name was Springtrap.
Oh, I remember FNAF 3 now. Okay.
So what?
Piss Bonnie.
Piss Bonnie, if you want. So there's also another image that's of a nightmarish-looking Phantom BB, which is Balloon Boy. He gets his name straight.
Phantom BB?
He's like a ghost version of Balloon Boy.
Phantom Big
and if you brighten up the screen, it's next to the number 10.
Ooh, 10.
This is because, again, Scott Cawthon was planning to release this game much later, but he finished it early, and so instead of doing this countdown from 10 down to 1 with the release of the game, he just has the image 10 and then the game comes out. So, but nobody figured this out until much later, so everyone was like, what the fuck does the number 10 mean?
Why didn't he just wait to release it?
He wanted to do a little countdown to promote it.
Yeah, but he didn't do it.
Oh, but because the game was already ready, might as well release it.
Yeah, but why didn't he just wait? Just do the countdown anyways.
Because he knows that this is a like fad hype train kind of thing.
I mean, I guess.
So the faster you can get these out and keep this fueled, the better.
But like, you'll get more hype if you. I don't know.
There's also one thing I forgot to mention, and that's before this game was even announced. There was a fan game called Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This game had to be changed to The Return to Freddy's because Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was a real game. I'm mentioning this now only because while I was doing research, I found out that this game's lore involves super cancer, and all the animatronics dated back to the 15th century.
Because of course they do.
And there are like 12 of these games. I don't fucking know.
There have been Freddy Fazbear sightings since 15 BC.
It's like Deploy the Freddy Fazbear. It's like the 1940s. It's getting dropped on fucking...
Freddy Fazbear introducing fire to mankind.
The original Freddy died and raised from the dead 3 days later.
Oh my god.
So let's talk about the gameplay of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Because there aren't 4 animatronics, there are 10 animatronics. There is 1 animatronic.
Whoa!
His name is Springtrap, and he's gonna kill you. There are no doors. There are no doors. There are no masks. You're fucked.
Oh, no.
You're gonna get COVID. There's nothing you can do about it.
Fucking Mordor.
Mordor. The only way to survive against Springtrap is to play a soundbite in a room that he's next to lure him away. So you have to look at the cameras, play Where's Waldo with this rabbit-looking motherfucker, and then play a soundbite to lure him into another room. This is an interesting game mechanic in concept because essentially the main villain is hiding from you and you have to go and find him. So there's a really interesting horror element being made there, but the game is dog shit. It sucks to, and when I say dog shit, I mean the gameplay is dog shit. The aesthetics and everything are really well done, and along with these other games, it has this very strong, like rotting building sort of aesthetic that's really fun to look at if you're into like liminal space environments. And it also, again, has this sort of dream logic to it, where random things in the area will change without anyone touching them. So Springtrap is trying to head to your door. You have to play sound bites to lure him to another room, but all of your systems can fail. You have audio systems, camera systems, and ventilation systems that can all go out, and you have to go to this other computer to reboot all of those systems when they go out. And while you're rebooting them, you can't do anything. So that just gives him more of an opportunity to walk to your room and go, fuck you. Along with this, remember when I... Question?
No, keep going. I think you're about to answer it.
Along with this, there's a problem with the ventilation where it's just, it sucks. And so you begin hallucinating like ghosts of other animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. And you're hallucinating this shit, and this is where most of the jump scares come from, because you're just doing something, and all of a sudden Chica's screaming in your face for some reason, and now your ventilation's fucked up, and you gotta go fix that.
And then Springtrap's crawling up your ass.
And then Springtrap is crawling up your ass.
I hate waiting.
Did I answer your question?
Maybe.
Okay, go ahead.
So I feel like there are a lot less moving parts in this game than there were 1 and 2.
The moving parts in this game is just the amount of places where you can hide and the amount of systems you have to take care of. But essentially, yeah, it's a bit...
So it would get a lot more monotonous playing it a lot faster.
Yeah. I should mention that all of these games you're surviving to a time limit, so no matter what, you have to play the game for like 7 minutes to get to the end of each night.
Yeah.
But yes, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is very monotonous. And also very based on random chance. Remember when I said that all of the movement in this game is done by a character rolling a number between 1 and 20, and if it's lower than the difficulty, they get to move? That's how Springtrap moves in this game. And he can move anywhere. He might approach you if there's like a noise close to you. He might just go to a random location, and it's all based on which direction he decides to go in, which is randomly decided. All the ghosts appearing are also random. So in theory, you could just sit on your computer and refresh the ventilation and be fine. Because he never comes to attack you because you just succeeded all your rolls on that. And people have beaten the game this way.
How do they progress difficulty then?
They just make it so like his number is higher so he can move more often.
Lame.
It is. It's very lame. I beat this game and then I tried to get the good ending because, spoiler alert, there's 2 endings to this game. And then while trying to get the good ending, I had to beat Night 5 again, and then I said, fuck that. So, yeah, I would say this game is probably the worst of the 3 so far, and most people would agree with me. The fuck is that?
Bro saw a furry dick.
Damn,
saw
Scott
Purple Guy for
Cawthon,
me.
you're
Damn, boy!
Damn, boy, dick, boy.
What the fuck are you all talking about?
Boy, damn.
So let's talk
We'll show you
about
later.
let's talk about the lore real quick, because as I mentioned, you're in like a horror attraction based off of the Freddy Fazbear locations, but shit, the person who's calling you this time is no longer the phone guy. His name is the phone dude, and that's because when he calls you, he has like the super bro voice with him. And he's like, "Hey dude, what's up? Dude, we found some animatronics in this other location that we were looking
In
in."
the sister location?
Not a sister location, to Merritt. We were looking into this other restaurant, and we found this like fake wall. And when we broke it open, there was this weird animatronic sitting there. And so we brought him in, because it was gonna be really scary. It's a big hall, you know. I think I messed up that accent near the end, but you get the idea. So there are also the lore mini games, but instead of happening when you die, they happen at the end of every night, and they basically tell a story where like the purple guy like disassembles all the animatronics with the spirits of the ghosts inside of them. But on the 5th night, after he's disassembled all of them, they all corner him into this room, and he's walking around like, oh god, there's a bunch of ghosts everywhere, and they're all trying to get me because I'm the one that made them ghosts. And he jumps into the spring Bonnie suit, and then all of a sudden he dies.
Hey,
reason-
how does...
Oh, did you want to ask the question?
Hey, how did he die from jumping in the suit?
That's a good question, and that's because I forgot to mention this. I'm mentioning it now, so it doesn't matter. The suit that he jumps in is known as a spring lock suit. Basically, it's meant to be both a suit and an animatronic, and it changes based off of these locks that are in the system. So the idea is you have this animatronic, and he like dances around in front of the kids, and then you can just use the same animatronic as a suit by pulling a switch in the back, jumping inside, and you're like, woo, here are your,
Oh, I know where this is going.
here's your pizzas, kids.
Bro, don't they take all the pieces out, or...
The pieces out of what?
The animatronic pieces out.
Of what?
The suit.
No,
So
they
can
pull
wear
them
it.
up. It's still in there. It just disassembles so there's space for a person to fit in. But the problem is that if the suit gets wet at all, the springs fail and it goes back into animatronic mode, crushing who's ever inside. That's what happens to the purple guy. He gets crushed inside of this suit, and that's why Springtrap exists, is because he died in the suit and then possessed it, like all the kids did. This is a really fucking cool idea for a villain, by the way.
Yeah,
is the fact that after seeing all these dead children inside of Ghost, the final boss of the Five Nights at Freddy's trilogy is the murderer who's possessed a suit, and you can still see his corpse inside of it in some angles. Like, it's really hard to tell if like he has control over the suit or if the suit's moving on its own and he's just sort of lingering inside there somewhere with like some fragment of an individual. It is such a cool idea for like a slasher villain, and I love it a lot, but it's not really fun to play. So that's the main lore part of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, except for the good ending that I almost forgot about. Naughty me. And the good ending basically has you you have to find these codes in the other mini games, and then like use those codes in like you have to find you have to look at the tiles on your wall and use them like a number pad, and then punch in a bunch of numbers, and then you enter a mini game, and then you have to like glitch outside of that mini game to find like cake and stuff, and then you have to give the cake to crying children, and then once you give the cake to the last crying child, you can go into this other mini game, which is like a birthday party for like Golden Freddy or something, and then Golden Freddy and all the other animatronics, their spirits are released, except the marionette animatronic falls last.
Falls last?
Like all the spirits fall down to the ground except for the marionette, which falls last. Huh. So that was a good series, guys. I think that's a very open and shut story right there. It has a good like arc to it. Like this guy murders kids, and then like the kids murder him, and then their spirits are released. It has like a plot. It has a conflict. It has a resolution. Don't you feel good about that? Question.
Well, do your actions in these games ever, like, do you defeat Springtrap at the end of 3, or are you just kind of like an impartial survivor to all this?
You're an impartial survivor to all this, but there is an ending. I believe you have to do like night 6 or something, where the building gets burned to the ground, so Springtrap dies. So there is sort of a resolution to like whether or not William Afton is still alive, and the answer is no.
Is that the canon ending?
Question.
Well, do you want to answer his first?
That is the canon ending, yes, your question.
So the kids, they possess the animatronics, right?
Yes.
Why are they killing the security guard?
Oh, that's a good question, and the answer is nobody fucking knows. Cool. Question.
They're dicks.
I thought we... Wait,
They're little tricksters.
so do we not find out that purple guy was a security?
That's not the answer. Purple guy's not the security guard. We will get to who the purple guy is later, because we do figure out who he is.
We do?
But the main
Oh, yeah, we
thing...
do.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
The main thing with what the Five Night, with why the animatronics are attacking you is specifically left vague. Phone Guy always gives you these answers like, oh, they're in night mode and they have to find where everyone else is, or they don't have a proper night mode, so they're trying to find where the party is, and so they're going from room to room, and in that case, that's your office, and then they see you, and then they kill you or something. I don't know. There's more lore to it where like some people theorize that they think you're the murderer because the purple guy might be wearing a purple security guard outfit, and you're also a security guard, so they think you're the killer. There are other theories, like they're just malicious spirits who want to kill, things of that nature. Does that answer your question well enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly not a very well planned out.
Oh, you thought this was planned out. I didn't notice. I'm sorry to give you such a...
Yeah, 2 games a
information.
year, bro. Everything is just so well put together. I love indie games.
After FNAF 4, I stopped paying attention.
As I mentioned before, Markiplier plays all these games, and he plays this game, and he's like, I don't even want there to be a Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This is a good ending to the series.
So anyway,
And then Gaming Theory plays this game, and he does a theory video on who he thinks the purple guy is. And he thinks it's the phone guy. Again. But wait, there's more evidence, because there are other characters, and they can't be them.
Got it.
So anyways, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 did really well. In fact, it was the peak of the popularity for the series so far. So inevitably, there was going to be a sequel. And that was Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
Which had such a cool idea.
What's such a cool idea?
The child bedroom shit.
Yes, I agree. It's so good. Five Nights at Freddy's 4, when I was just watching Markiplier play these games, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was my favorite to watch because it was such a cool environment to be in. I really like making like familiar locations that betray you, and making like a house that feels comforting all of a sudden horrifying is a very fun idea to me.
Plays into the fear of you wanting to go get water at 4 a.m. when Freddy Fazbear is in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Yes. But 5 Day Night Freddy is in the kitchen.
But like that's what the FNAF 1, of the really cool things is that we are the generation that went to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, so like hit different.
And Chuck E. Cheese was creepy, and we always knew it, but we never really expressed it. And FNAF was like, it took this location we all knew and made it scary.
Yeah.
And I feel like 2 and 3 really didn't do that in the same way. So when 4 came out and it made your bedroom scary again.
Yeah, it's a very fun idea. And so for those of you at home who don't know Five Nights at Freddy's 4, instead of being in like a restaurant or a horror attraction, you're a child in your bedroom, and the animatronics are coming for you in your bedroom.
But are they really?
They are really. Or are they?
Fucking creepy.
We're good. Alright, I can go. Okay, nightmares. If you Five Nights at Freddy's 4, you're a child in your bedroom and the animatronics are coming for you. These are known as the nightmare animatronics, and they have spooky redesigns. Like Freddy now has a bunch of little guys crawling on him. Their canonical name are Freddles. So that's happening. Also, all the text in the promotional images are showing the animatronic, the new redesign, and with like dialogue that says, "Was it me?" And then if you go to like the website CCS or whatever, the script for the website, the number 87 is repeated a lot. So this game's going to be about the bite of 87.
Or is it?
Or is it? Who knows? It is. But anyways.
Lol.
Lol.
Wasn't there also like little things that appeared on the bed behind you?
Yeah, those were the Freddles.
Yeah, those were the Freddles.
It was my Uncle
This
Tom.
game was planned to release on Halloween, and it came out in in July or something.
That's
By the
very
way,
different. I don't know where you got
This game comes
Christmas
out less than a year before Five Nights at Freddy's 1's... No, this game comes out like before FNAF 1's 1 year anniversary. So we got all four of these games done in a year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy, yeah. That is.
The guy's got the grind set.
He's got the fucking... He's got the Scott Cawthon Sigma
pumping
grind
shit
set.
out.
Yeah, Roland, what are you doing?
I'm making comics.
You're not making. You're not making Hitmall.
No,
Where's Hitmall?
I'm trying to get a book published.
Where's
Grind
Steppy
set.
Wall? Where's Steppy
Where's the
Wall?
money in Hitmall, huh?
Where's the money?
Money in Hitmall.
Aetherborn based.
Aetherborn game.
$25.
Where's Steppy World? Where are they? What you do with them?
Steppy World lecture soon.
Please. Can we do OC
Okay.
lectures?
So,
Yeah, I did one.
As I mentioned before, the animatronics are coming into your house, into your room, trying to get you. But on the fourth night, all the animatronics disappear, and they're replaced with Golden Freddy. And Golden Freddy is the boss fight of Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and he can appear anywhere in your room. He can just teleport to behind you and kill you, and you have to keep track of everything. On night 5, he turns into a black version of Golden Freddy, simply called Nightmare. like Jet Black. Shut up, guys. Be mature.
Jet Black, like the magazine, Roland.
Deep.
That's a magazine?
Yeah, Jet magazine. But that's a thing. It's real. Put a picture of it.
Demerit. Okay. So these guys are trying to kill you, and there's a boss fight, and it's really cool, and it's my personal favorite game, except for when I play it, because it plays awfully. The way you have to play this game is that you have to go up to one of the doors and then listen for whispering. And the thing is that whispering is very quiet, but jump scares are very loud. So you can turn up the volume on your computer to try and hear the whisper, but you risk going deaf in real life.
God, the game has real stakes. Holy shit.
There are real stakes in this game. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I have like a sensory issue, so I can't hear the whispering at all when I play. Unless it's like specifically like loud. Like sometimes the whispering like alters in volume. Sometimes I can hear it, sometimes I can't, and it sucks. But
That's
yeah.
so cool though, because you do that when you're a kid. You like listen at the door for the monsters, or if like people are upset, you listen at the door.
Yeah, I mean, it puts you in the seat of a kid, and it's really cool, but I don't like playing it, and I hate it. But that's mostly a me thing. Markiplier enjoyed this. I think a lot of people enjoyed this game.
You get a redemption from FNAF.
Yeah, let's talk about the lore, because the mini-games are back. Those Atari-style mini-games, they're back, and they tell a story of a child whose name we don't know. And he's crying a lot because he's really afraid of animatronics. And every night, his brother, like messes with him by dressing up as an animatronic and screaming in his face. And then he walks around the place, he walks around the neighborhood, and all the kids are talking about rumors about people who died at the Friday Night Feddy restaurant location. And one of them even mentioned, one of the kids that talks about this has like a broken toy Chica with like her beak missing. That's strange, right? So,
Familiar.
and so that's the basic gist of the story is that you're a kid and you're scared because animatronics are scary. But on the 5th night, you have to go to 5 Day Night Freddy's. You have to go to the Fazbear location and go to the place. And I haven't mentioned this yet because it's very vague in the lore, but we figure out by now that Golden Freddy, his real name is Fredbear, and he was the original mascot of the Fazbear Entertainment franchise of stores. And the real restaurant you're going to at Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is Fredbear's Family Diner. So you're going to Fredbear's Family Diner, and your brother's like, "Oh man, he really wants to meet Fredbear, guys. He wants to kiss Fredbear on the mouth. Let's help him." And so they all pick up the kid, they bring him over to the animatronic, and then they put his head into the animatronic's mouth, and his tears fall into the animatronic, and because it's a spring lock animatronic, it shuts and clamps down on his head, and he dies.
That's so beautiful.
Is it beautiful?
And is that Golden Freddy or regular Freddy?
That's Fredbear. Golden Freddy, yes.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, that's a fun
So
little
that's
story
the
there.
bite of 87.
Was that the bite of 87? So if you don't know,
no.
there's a meme here where Markiplier played this game and he saw this scene and he looked right at the camera and yelled, "Was that the bite of 87?" And the funniest thing about it is that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Really?
This was actually the bite of 1983 because this doesn't take place in 87. The game constantly refers to the year being 1983. So this game actually has nothing to do with the bite of 87, even though it was advertised as such.
83.
You were misled as a child when you saw Markiplier play these games, and now you falsely believe that Golden Freddy caused the bite of 87, which still might be possible, but fuck, who cares?
So who caused the bite of 87, Roland Bowles?
I'm gonna be honest, we still don't know. Insecurity breach. By this point, we still don't know anything about the bite of 87 other than it was kind of weird. They're like, oh, some kid's frontal lobe got
Was it
bitten off.
Mangle?
What?
Was it not Mangle?
It
was Mangle.
It might have been Mangle.
I
We
thought it
don't
was
know.
Mangle.
I always thought it was.
I was fed lies. I don't know.
It sounds like this was supposed to be the bite of 87, and then they changed it to 83 at the last minute to go, "Oh no, we still have room to..."
Yeah, we still have a mystery to solve, gang.
And then it wasn't.
Am I off base, or is that what happened?
I feel like that's what happened. I get the feeling that that's what happened. Because here's the thing, if you haven't figured it out by now, the game is taking place in a coma dream. You're in a coma and you're the kid. And if you look at your bed, sometimes you can see an IV drip on your bed stand. That's really cool, right? Sometimes you can see some pills, sometimes you see flowers that people left you.
This is the coolest game so far.
Yeah, this is visually the coolest game in the series. I love it so much. Holy cow.
If only it was good.
If only it was fun to play. So here's the thing, right? People feel like the mystery was already solved with Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and that this mostly just solved its own mystery, and so there's not really anywhere to go from here. Game Theory makes a video on Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and then I forgot what conclusion he came to, because he comes to a different conclusion later about what's going on with this game, and we're about to get to it. On the notes here, Scott Cawthon has this listed as, "We're going down to an earlier round question."
Oh, wait. Never mind.
What?
I was going to be like, well, we're going to talk about the books, but then I realized we haven't gotten to the books.
We haven't gotten to the books yet. We're going to get to the books, don't worry.
I was looking at the timeline wrong.
Okay.
We're going downtown in
So I mentioned that FNAF 3 is the peak of the series, and once FNAF 4 rolls around, the game starts going downward.
It becomes a
popularity.
kids franchise.
It becomes a kids franchise.
Somehow.
I was walking around a mall in 2016 or something, and I found a Freddy Fazbear hat in a clearance bin. To give you an idea of how far the series has fallen around 16, 17-ish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of the Five Nights at Freddy's fans were kids, right? Because we watched it on YouTube, we talked about it in schools, we played it at recess.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I go to Macy's and then I see in the little toddler section Freddy Fazbear shirts.
Yeah, but that is the people who wanted to buy this merchandise. It doesn't sound like a diluting of the series. That just sounds like accurate.
My thing isn't to say the series was diluted. It was to say, because the series had an all-audience sort of appeal. I mean, it was about murdering kids, right?
Yeah.
And like you
Everybody
would
was
watch
that.
people who were adults, who were fans of the series, like Markiplier and Game Theory, and like Dawko, and all these other people who were adults who liked Five Nights at Freddy's. So it was very much an all-ages thing. The reason I believe it got associated with kids was because this was around the time that like cringe culture becomes a thing, and so it became a, like people stopped playing Minecraft because it became cringe, and you would laugh at like Minecraft memes, ironically, and you would laugh at like I've been saying Five Night Feddy this whole time because I find that hilarious, and that sort of culture starts around here. It's sort of that same thing with like how Harambe stopped being funny and people hated it, but it got associated with kids because the meme got so popular that they knew about it.
This is like the dank meme era.
It's the dank meme era, yes.
Very rough time.
And so that's my personal belief onto why the series gets associated with kids. But there's not. It might just have been that like those are the people with free time to watch YouTube videos. So, and that's like the best way to experience these games is by watching someone else play it. So let's talk about some other reasons why the game falls in popularity around that point. So
Don't need the marker.
So game theory, he wants to figure out what the story of Five Nights at Freddy's is, and he's so obsessed with it that he starts getting a group together. He starts banding together with other people in the Five Nights at Freddy community to figure out the solution to the lore, to solve it once and for all. And the stream crashes.
Oh.
And so he decides, okay, I'm going to get the stream back together and less people are there, and then the stream crashes again. But this time we actually have a recording of what was going on, and it was mostly them tossing around ideas about what the lore of the games could be. And they start trying to link it to a new game that Scott Cawthon is advertising, and I wrote my thing down wrong, so I'm going to add it here. There's a game called FNAF World.
Yes!
That's being
The best game in the series!
Actually, that's the first game that comes out in 2016, not the Silver Eyes, which is the book. So please fucking...
The best game in the series.
No.
The best!
The best!
The best!
The best! The best! The best! So, while Game Theory is streaming, Scott Cawthon is watching the stream. And he decides to give Game Theory 3 hints on how to solve the mystery of Five Nights at Freddy's. Alright?
Like this fucker has an answer to the mystery of Five Nights at Freddy's.
He actually does. Scott Cawthon has a solution to all of this. There's a single story going on in all these 4 games, and Scott Cawthon is going to give hints to Game Theory so he can figure it out on his own. So here are the hints. Are you ready, guys? So remember how Remember how Toy Chica took off her beak in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 when she approaches your office? Mm-hmm. Remember how in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 there was a toy a girl had with a torn off Chica toy thing with a torn off beak, you know?
Yes.
Why was that? That's the first hint. The second hint is, quote, what is seen in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. The third hint, 4 games, 1 story. And so Game Theory makes a video, right? And he concludes that Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was in a coma dream, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was in a coma dream, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was in a coma dream, and Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was in a coma dream.
And they were in hell the whole time.
And they were in hell the whole time. So, he even in the video, he points out that dream theories are lame, but like he brings up like, why would there be a Chica toy that takes off her beak unless it has something to do with the toy Chica with the beak missing? And Scott Cawthon is literally pointing this out like, hey, did you notice this? And so you're supposed to connect these two together to figure out that the reason that the toy Chica takes off her beak is because it's in the mind of a child. He saw this toy, thought it was creepy, and is now imagining it attacking people. The whole thing, remember Shadow Bonnie? Shadow Bonnie actually appears in FNAF 4, and it's just like in the background you can see like, because shadows, like it's a darkened Bonnie, so you can only see like the silhouette of the form, and the like lights coming out of it. That's why in FNAF 2 you have that. And so the entire solution of these games the whole time was that it was all in this one kid's dream while he was dying and was in hell and fucked up. People did not like this because it kind of dismisses all the mystery that has been throughout the games, and it's kind of like, what was that one sitcom that ended with it just being in the mind of a child who was looking at a igloo or whatever, with the fucking globe, ice globe, whatever.
Sitcom? There's a sitcom that ended like.
Yeah, it was like it zooms out of this kid's eyes. I think it was West Wing or something. I don't know. But it was like nobody likes to answer it was all in a dream because it's kind of a lame solution to come to. And so people were not happy with this. But it was probably the most accurate solution to everything that was going on in the games, and it explained everything. Woo!
Recording.
So that's one reason why Five Nights at Freddy's started falling in popularity, is because the actual answer to these 4 games was bad and nobody liked it. I have in my notes here just randomly that the FNAF movie was announced around this time.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It's still coming out.
It's still in the works, apparently. It's been in development for
Like
almost
Avatar
10 years.
2 coming out this year.
Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm not gonna
Avatar 2
watch
got
it.
like a trailer though, right?
It just set in how fucking long it's been since FNAF 1 came out.
Yeah,
Holy
dude.
shit.
Yeah.
It's been 8
Feeling
years.
old yet?
Oh my god.
Steven Universe pilot turned like 9, I'm pretty sure. So,
Alright,
Crazy.
so around this time in 2015, after FNAF 4 came out,
9 years.
a cool new game called Undertale came out, right?
How the fuck? What does that do?
So,
What does this have to do with
let
Five
me
Nights at Freddy's?
explain. The thing is that on the internet, attention is a finite resource. We're constantly, like, if you look on the internet, you're constantly being barraged by advertisements and, like, all these flashing colors and stuff because everything is trying to get your attention because there's only so many of it to get. And so when one game comes in and becomes popular, it's going to absorb a lot of the notoriety that a lot of other games had at the time. We saw this because before Five Nights at Freddy's came out, Slender was really popular.
shit, yeah.
Oh my god.
And then it just wasn't, you know, because everyone was paying attention to Five Night Freddy, my favorite character. So, yeah, Undertale comes out, and
bangs.
it bangs. It's actually fun to play. And the thing is that, remember how I said there were 2 pillars of the FNAF community, Markiplier and GameThongy?
Game Thongy.
It turns out that both of them tried to cash in on the Undertale craze and failed horribly. So
Wait, really?
Game Theory makes a video, right?
Oh my god!
What's going on?
I don't remember this.
Game Theory makes a video on Undertale, and he comes to the conclusion that Sans, the character from Undertale, is actually Ness, the character from Earthbound. What? And the way he comes to this conclusion is that Undertale references Earthbound a lot because it was the influence for the game. And so a lot of people, basically, like even there were people who criticized Matt Patt at this time, but this was the first time where his own audience was criticizing him.
Yeah.
This is fucking stupid. What are you talking about? Like, it's
Bro,
so
leave him
on its
alone. He just
Sans
makes
is
silly
Ness.
little internet theories.
It's so on its face stupid that like his own fans were like, dude, shut up. Right? And so like but later on he would go on camera crying about how mean the Undertale fans were to him for making this video, and that's why he doesn't make an Undertale video for like a long ass time. And then later he makes a theory video on Gaster that I didn't watch because I stopped caring about game theory after this.
Yeah, let's go.
Then Markiplier decides to do a Let's Play of Undertale. Now, while I like making fun of game theory, Markiplier's experience with Undertale was actually just like kind of fucked up. He tries playing the game, but he doesn't, like, he plays the game the way he wants to play it, right? Which isn't the pacifist route. So he kills Toriel, right? And so a lot of people get mad at this because Toriel is a fan favorite character. Like, it's literally your mom in the game, not literally, but it's like the mom character in the game, and people get upset about this. He does a voice for Sans that doesn't sound like the voice that people already decided Sans sounds like, and people got mad at him. And so he stopped doing his Undertale Let's Play for a while because people were getting so pissy in the comments that it just made him not want to play the game. Eventually he would beat Undertale on stream with one of his friends. I don't remember if it was his brother or just like a guy that he was close with, But eventually he does play Undertale and things turn out alright. But at this time, people don't like Markiplier because he gave Sans the wrong voice.
Because he played Undertale. Because he played Undertale.
Yeah. So those are the two big pillars of the FNAF community, by the way. Both crumbled by the weight of Undertale. Undertale explodes in popularity, and boom, FNAF is no more. And I stopped playing the games after this point. I think everyone here who paid attention to FNAF at all stopped paying attention at this point.
Yeah, I
right?
fell off
after
paying attention
three.
after
To this day, the only two FNAF games I've ever played were the first game and FNAF World.
I've played none of them, but I stopped paying attention after the Living Tombstone Sister Location song. Because I was like, this is...
You're the one that paid the most attention at the time.
Yeah, I played 1 and 2,
Congratulations.
and I stopped like giving a fuck after 4.
Yeah, this is the experience that I understand most people had with Five Nights at Freddy's.
I stopped after Sister.
Yeah, I've asked friends who also paid attention, and they said that like they stopped paying attention around 3 or 4. I thought 4 was the point where people stopped paying attention because it was a pretty cool game. But like
I was really into
fell
it.
off.
I stopped
I like
watching
It
people
fell off
play it
plus L plus
after
ratio,
Sister Location.
right?
Phone? Oh.
So FNAF is no longer the big internet darling. It's Undertale. Undertale is great, by the way. I brought this cool Undertale hat.
Boo!
Yo, it's Booby Fox!
Da-da-da-da!
Yeah, is that a fucking Earthbound hat?
Demerit.
Yo, Roland is Sans.
Actually, yes. Now, one more point I want to bring up before we move on to the books, because we have to talk about the books. We have to talk about the fucking books. I read the fucking books, guys! Do you know what I fucking went through to get this lecture together? Do you know why it took like 6 months to get this lecture together?
I
read
heard the
fucking
books had male
Wait, are they,
pregnancies.
like-
This true.
Had what in it?
Male pregnancies. That true.
No.
Oh,
Wait, are these like comic books or like actual like literature?
Like literature. Written. They later got adapted to comic books, and we'll get to that, but it's kind of messed up how that went.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the last reason I think Five Nights at Freddy's fell off, plus L plus ratio,
It's no longer
is because Funko, remember Funko Pops?
Yeah.
I stocked those!
Yeah, Funko buys a master license to the Five Nights at Freddy's brand, basically giving them complete rights to do all the merchandising for the series. And the thing is that
Their merch is mid now.
their merch sucks. They start releasing like Five Nights at Freddy's branded slime and like these figurines that are just really poorly painted. And then afterwards, they start re-releasing the figurines with repaints to make them look like different characters. And like nowadays, you have like Shamrock Freddy or some shit. Remember Shamrock Freddy? He's Green Freddy. Do you want a Shamrock Freddy figurine, anybody?
Irish the Hedgehog.
So that's why the merch sucks. And if people aren't walking around repping your merch, who's even gonna pay attention? Am I right? Play Hypnospace Outlaw, by the way, guys. And Undertale.
And don't play Five Nights
Yo,
at
buy
Freddy's.
Vans!
Bands! Woo! So
Go listen to Spirit Boss.
Scott Cawthon, his game is on the downswing, and so he decides he's gonna make for his next project. His next game's gonna be FNAF World, but for his next project, he's gonna write a book. Question.
No.
Okay. He's gonna write a book, and it's called The Silver Eyes. And the fact that this game has a book is fucking stupid, but I had to read it, and so I'm gonna tell you about what happens in The Silver Eyes.
Silver?
Silver the Hedgehog.
It's no use!
Okay. 10 years after a wave of disappearances of kids dying happens, Charlie, which is a Charlie is a woman, by the way, like Charlotte. It's short for Charlotte. Charlie
Good
and
luck,
her
Charlie.
friends are going to Utah
It's a
to
woman.
mourn the loss of their other friend, Michael. We're gonna get a lot of white people names here, so just please.
Yo, is there a Derek in there somewhere?
There's a Carlton. So Charlie and her friends go to the memorial for Michael, who died from one of these disappearances, or they don't know if he died or not. He just disappeared, but he's probably
Oh, wait,
dead.
is this the Michael I've heard so much about?
No, but yeah. Yes, but no. We will explain that very soon, trust me. But while they're at the memorial, they're like sort of hanging out, getting together, getting to know each other again, and they're like, hey, why don't we go to Five Night Freddy's and explore the restaurant to see if we can find any clues? Let's go, Scooby-Doo gang. And so they go to the restaurant and they find nothing. And then they go to this other, by the way, the first restaurant is like a mall had been built around it because it was closed for so long. So they just go into a mall and then break through into the building.
What the fuck? Why?
To look for clues.
No, I mean, like, why did they just destroy the building?
Because they built the mall around it.
Why'd they build the mall around an abandoned building? Just tear that shit down.
Lore. Foundation. Lore.
No.
I don't know how malls are built. Maybe you're wrong.
Led to this moment.
I work at a mall. Okay, imagine like I go to take out the trash and then like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Bro, Ronan Mills probably has a Five Nights at Freddy's one of those fucking back rooms.
You're right, bro. That's what I'm saying.
So they go to the Five Night Freddy's in the mall and they find nothing. And they're like, okay, wait a second. What if we go over to this fucking
refrigerator?
The Fredbear's Family Diner and see if we can find any clues there.
So
they find nothing. They go back to the first location to look for clues some more, and they find this weird guy called Derek. Actually, Derek was
Are you
this.
fucking
Actually, because it turns out, they find out Derek is actually William Afton. And William Afton is the purple guy. The man behind the slaughter itself.
Holy shit.
And he's just hanging out there, murdering kids some more, and he kidnaps Carlton, and he puts him in a springlock suit, and then all of a sudden Golden Freddy wakes up, and it turns out Golden Freddy is Michael. And Michael wakes up, and he
Wait, who the fuck is Michael?
Michael's the kid that died.
Got it.
Which kid? You know how many kids died?
The one that they're going to the memorial for.
Okay.
And they're like, and Michael wakes up and is like, yo, Michael Afton. William Afton, holy shit, sorry. Spoilers. William Afton, the fuck's up. And then he drags him into the shadow in the back of the pizzeria. And then William dies and he's in a Springtrap suit or something. Ooh. So you might have noticed that this game makes no fucking sense with the rest of the lore we know. Like, William Afton dies in a completely different way. There's like a new restaurant that's in a mall somewhere. It takes place in 2003.
Oh man, it's like a year after Burning Red. There's no 9/11.
No mention of 9/11,
Wow,
surprisingly enough.
Wait, well this kind of fits because Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place in 2023, so 2003, putting Purple Man in the Springlock suit works.
Purple Man, but the Springtrap was found inside of the FNAF 1 location, like in the back rooms. I didn't actually mention this, by the way, but you know how like the Springlock suits malfunction if they get wet? This was such a common problem that they built a room in the back of the restaurant so employees could bleed out in if they ever like crushed them.
Oh my god.
That was how common a problem it was. So that's where they find William Afton is in the back room of the restaurant, like where the employees are supposed to bleed out. So the thing you might have noticed is that makes no sense to the canon, and everyone else noticed it. And so Scott quickly made a blog post not too long after the book comes out, explaining if the book is canon or not. And he basically says, the book is canon just as the games are. That doesn't mean they are intended to fit together like two puzzle pieces. I would actually ask anyone wanting to read the book, even if you are a devout fan of the games, to read the book for the sake of enjoying the book, and don't try to solve anything. The book is a reimagining of Five Nights at Freddy's story, and if you want to get in, and if you go into it with that mindset, I think you'll really enjoy it. Smiley face emoji. So if you noticed, he said yes at the beginning of that paragraph, but the answer is no.
Yeah.
These games are not canon.
What the fuck?
So basically how this works is that these games are in a separate universe. There's like an AU shit, there's some Steel Ball Run shit going
so
on.
it's like mainline Sonic games and then Archie IDW comic.
Kind of, yeah. That's what's going on with this. And so there's a separate lore for the books now. But the books can sort of help us with the lore of these games, maybe, but you have to find evidence in these games that link it to this book to figure out how these all fit together, right? And so later on, this gets fucking stupid. Question.
This also sounds like someone who's trying to escape this lore-based fandom that Matt Patt has accidentally helped them create. Because, like, imagine if the stupid shit you made up a year ago now dictates how your mainline series you're writing has to go. Like, writing a book and just telling the story must have been a really freeing break.
Yeah, and so it makes sense that he's trying to like escape from this lore to just write a story, and that makes sense because his next game he makes has no lore in it. Question.
So does Scott Cawthon ever like struggle mentally because of like this weight put on him that like he has to come up with this like really interesting, mysterious
he struggles
lore?
on
Yeah.
He struggles. I mean, I don't know the guy, but I mean,
What are his thoughts on gay people?
Oh no! Oh god!
We'll get to it, okay? I have it in my notes that Scott Cawthon wrote that I stole from him. So, but to answer your question,
I guess a better question would be like, does he fail to deliver the expectations and do people get mad about it?
Not really. Like people, like when Sister Location came out, people really liked it, and then when the rest of these games came out, people really liked them. But it wasn't. He might still like. I don't know the guy. It seems like these games were pretty successful with the people that were still playing them.
Yeah.
It's like Diaper Wimpy Kid, where the series never goes downhill, but people just kind of stopped reading after a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. Like after Dog Days, like I read like Cold Ones or whatever.
Cabin Fever?
Cabin Fever.
Cold ones.
Cold Ones. I didn't know Hard Luck came out.
I made it to Hard Luck, and that's where I stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Cabin Fever was the last one I read.
The last one I read was
I read
I've never read fucking.
That was the last one I read. Jesus.
Wait, you're the winner! You went the farthest in Wimpy Kid, Ed.
Is he still in high school? Is he in middle school or high? I don't even know.
Bro
This
graduated.
is Five Nights at Freddy's lecture. What the fuck are you doing talking
we're
about
gonna do
Diary of a Wimpy Kid? That doesn't come in until later.
Lecture 1?
Where did it go? Oh.
You laugh now, I'm serious. That's why it's funny. It's because I mean that. I'm gonna mention Diary of the Wimpy Kid later, and it's gonna make sense.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Damn.
So FNAF World comes out in 2016, right? What is FNAF World? Is everyone?
Greg Heffley's papyrus.
Excuse me, no more sidebars, please.
Greg Heffley's papyrus.
Sidebars.
Fuck off! You fuck offs. No more sidebars, okay?
Okay, Miss Lee's head ass.
Fucking shut up. Okay. What is FNAF World, right? If you may have noticed, a lot of the games that Scott Cawthon made before this were RPGs or tycoons or things of that nature. So FNAF World is basically his way of satisfying his itch of making like an RPG game, but one that people will actually play because it has FNAF attached to it. And the thing is that this game has no lore to it. It is a time-based RPG where you just walk around as the characters from Five Nights at Freddy's and like you fight people. And sometimes it mentions some of his earlier work, so the fans get really excited. The coffee maker from the Desolate Hope is a playable character in this game. This is also the first game to have voice acting. And, like, the voice actor for Jimmy Neutron gets in on this.
Wait, are you dead ass?
Dead ass! She plays a fucking rainbow with a face.
Jimmy Neutron's voice actor is a girl?
Yes.
It's like a majority of like Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Young
That makes
boys.
sense.
Yeah. I believe, like, there are some other famous voice actors that worked on specifically FNAF World. I believe there's like some anime voice actor that was just in this for some reason.
Patrick Sage, they got Koro Sensei in this.
Fucking Dio.
I don't know all the voice actors. All I know is that the fucking game was boring and not even Markiplier played it.
One of those.
Damn, that's rough.
I think Game Theory made a video on it to
Thank you,
connect this
Deeply.
to the other games, but there's no lore to do
Because
that
of
with.
course he fucking did.
But there's no lore to do that with, so he's just sort of. But in this mini game, you can see that there's a guy at a desk, and his name is Henry.
Cool.
Henry is an important character. So yeah, I don't really have that much to say about FNAF World. It wasn't very popular. People didn't really like it. It had an audience. There were some people that enjoyed it. I heard you enjoyed it, Jackson. Did you like it?
I mean, It was a
Thank
game.
you for telling
It
us.
was a game.
Alright, thank you for your...
It played.
Alright. So, as you can see, these two things are fucking weird and no one really cared about them that much.
I really enjoyed it because there was just a massive roster of characters and it really appeals to my categorization fetish.
Oh,
It's the same reason
that.
It's the same reason that I like fighting games. That's why I like Smash Bros.
I can see that, yeah.
You like
that's
fighting games
definitely
and
an
then you
appeal
use
to this.
Smash Bros?
Alright.
Yeah, my favorite party game.
I remember my sister buying the silver eyes so she could figure out the mystery before Matt Pat.
Man.
Did she?
For Matt Patt.
I think
Probably.
Matt Pat made a video on the Silver Eyes too. Who knows? I stopped watching them. I didn't watch every game theory video, guys.
Why not?
Because I don't want to. The videos suck and I hate his
Yeah,
voice.
fuck Matthew Patthew.
I hate
Fuck
you.
Matt Pat.
I thought you were doing research for this lecture.
I did do research. My own research.
I wanted Matt Pat to do a video on the science behind the spin dash, but I didn't get that.
Okay, so Silver Eyes comes out, there's no lore, but people try to put lore in it anyways, and it doesn't work. FNAF World comes out, and people try to put lore in it, but it doesn't work anyways. So at this point, the people are here for the lore. The people who play FNAF games are here for the lore. So he decides to make Five Nights at Freddy's sister location.
I remember that one being.
This one is advertised as like, who told you there was only one Five Nights at Freddy's location? And the answer is literally, you told us the exact opposite of it already in this game. You told us there were 3 locations here. So it's a little weird. And then like a bunch of leaks come out, like the people figure out the title of the game earlier than they were supposed to, and then Scott releases a teaser image that says the teaser image just says canceled due to leaks. And then if you brighten up the image, it's a news article about how there was a gas leak at Circus Baby's Pizza World and it had to close down. So it was sort of like a tongue-in-cheek like teaser about like how all the leaks that happened. It was pretty cool, yeah. So what is the game? The thing about Sister Location is that it's the first game with a linear story. That's not a spin-off, specifically.
Rolling.
Okay. So in this game, where was it? Yeah, in this game, this has a linear story, so I'm just going to describe what happens in it. You play as a guy, and you're working at an underground facility that houses a bunch of animatronics that used to be in this location called Circus Baby's Pizza Place, Pizza Planet, whatever, Pizza World, Pizza Hut. Anyways, and you walk through the place, and you have all these like separate mini games that you have to do instead of like the one mini game a night that you do throughout the whole game. You just have a bunch of other things you have to do. Like there's one where you have to hide behind this like grid pattern thing, and you have to keep the thing shut and not shine the light in these other animatronics' eyes. There's another one where you have to repair an animatronic, and it's you gotta press the right button or else you get a jump scare. There's one where you're in a spring lock suit and the spring locks are going off, and you have to screw the spring locks back in while there are other animatronics climbing on top of you, and then you have to shake them off. But shaking them off loosens the spring locks, so you have to tie those back together. So yeah, that's basically the game. You go in every night, you do a little task, and then you get a little bit of lore about Circus Baby, who apparently at Circus Baby's Pizza World was an animatronic and had one night on stage where she remembers like all these different amounts of people being in the location, and then all of a sudden there was just one girl, and then all of a sudden, without knowing what she was doing, an ice cream cone popped out of her stomach, and then the girl grabbed it and everything went black. So that girl died, right?
Yeah.
Shit, what else? They quote Marble Hornets for some... What, am I on the right page? What? I don't think they did that in the game. I'm not on the right page. I don't fucking know. What's the fuck's going on? Apparently they quote Marble Hornets in this game, and I don't remember where. I wrote that in my notes, or Scott Cawthon did, and added 6 question marks. So... there are other animatronics in this game. There's Ballora, there's Funtime Freddy, there's Funtime Foxy. Fun fact, Funtime Foxy is actually Mangle. Lore. There you go. So the plot of the game, I've been losing track of what the plot is, but basically Circus Baby is trying to help you not get killed by the other animatronics in the building, but on the 5th night, she takes you to what's known as the scooping room, and this is The scooping room is where all the animatronics go so they can separate the suits from the endoskeletons.
We're scooping now?
We're scooping it up. Scoopy doopy doo.
It's really creepy because every night you're like, there's a scene where you have to stay perfectly still, and so it like crawls by your ear and does this like creepy whispering about the scooping room.
Yeah.
Scooping room.
And so you're in this scooping room, right? And Circus Baby explains that in this facility they are constantly being tortured. We learned about this because, like, in order to keep them stable, you have to administer an electric shock to the animatronics to keep them, like, on pace or where they're supposed to be. So they're just like all stuck in this facility and they want to get out. And their plan for getting out is they're going to scoop you, the player. They're going to use the scooping mechanism to scoop out your insides, wear you as a human flesh suit, and then walk out like a normal human. Like they're going to do some Weekend at Bernie's shit with your corpse. And they do that. They scoop you out and they walk out of the house and they go and stroll around town all holly jolly.
Wait, is this where that one cutscene comes from? Where he's like walking and
I think so.
Fucking YouTube.
You pull it up, I'll keep explaining.
Yeah,
in the custom night, you'll get, every time you finish a night, you'll get a new cutscene of this guy just walking around while all town waves at him like, hey guy, what's up? And then he slowly starts rotting for some reason, and he turns purple. And eventually he goes fully purple, and he convulses to the ground, and all the animatronics jump out of him.
Yeah. This cutscene from one of the Five Nights at Freddy games popped in my head. This is the purple guy's son, right? This is the purple guy's son. And he got entered inside of him, dog. This is so funny.
How long is this gonna go for, Ed?
It's like a minute 58 seconds.
We're not gonna sit through this.
Yeah,
whole
we're not
thing.
gonna sit through this. I already explained what happened. And then all the animatronics, he turns purple, all the animatronics jump out of him and enter into the sewer. Ed, turn it off. Derek.
The sewer.
They enter the sewer. Like they enter through a sewer drain, and then like your character's body is purple and fallen to the ground, and then he stands up. How the fuck did he stand up?
Because he died, but he was technically an animatronic, so he possessed himself.
He's not what?
Yeah.
Wait, are there like 3 purple guys running around now in the lore?
Oh, so this starts a big argument in the people who are still paying attention to this game about whether William Afton was the purple guy or the purple guy was actually the guy you play as in Sister Location, which, spoiler alert, is William's son, Michael Afton.
Can he die?
So purple guy's son was the one who possessed Golden Freddy to...
In the book, yes.
Oh, but the book isn't canon.
The book isn't canon.
Fuck.
The most sense I can make out of this cutscene is that Michael Afton possesses his own corpse and is just walking around like a zombie.
Yo, Bruno gang.
Bruno gang! Let's go! Bruno Buccialetti!
Oh my god.
I forgot to mention, but when the animatronics join together inside of Michael, they form a new animatronic called Ennard, and he's just like the amalgamation of all the other animatronics in Friday Night Freddy Sister Location. You don't need to worry too much about the technicals of that. What you do need to worry about is that sometime after the events of Sister Location, what was her name? Circus Baby gets in a fight with the rest of the animatronics, and they just kick her out of Ennard. And she's just on her own, and she makes her own suit, which we find out later in these other games. Okay. Is there anything else I need to talk about with Sister Location? I feel like that's it. But also I feel like I went through that quicker than I should have. It's a long-ass game. So, you know the animatronics in this game, you can actually, in the game, if you do enough stuff, you can unlock the blueprints for them, and you can look inside, and they have, you know, storage tanks and child lures inside of them, and eyes to count how many people are in the location, and eyes that see if there are any parents nearby. So there's like some weird shit about like these animatronics designed to kidnap children, pull them inside of them, and then kill them. And
Discord mods.
Discord mods.
Discord mods.
What else? Michael is William's son. Blah de blah de blah. Discourse. Oh, shit, we are actually done. Okay, thank you.
The best
Scott.
Living Tombstone song comes out of this game.
I don't like Living Tombstones. I'm sorry. It's not my style of music. But we get a second book after this. In 2017, we get The Twisted Ones. It's a sequel to The Silver Eyes, so it takes place in the same universe, but not the other universes. So please don't get confused. A year passes, and Charlie is getting a college degree in robotics, and all of a sudden, a bunch of people. Robotics. And all of a sudden, corpses start appearing with like scars on their body, but the same scars that you would get from a spring lock suit.
Lol.
And what the fuck is going on there? So she starts investigating on some Scooby-Doo shit, and she finds that one of the corpses looks exactly like her.
Ew.
And so she starts investigating on some Scooby-Doo shit, and she goes into her childhood home, and she finds a secret room where there are 3 mounds of like of dirt sitting there. And then on under one of the mounds, another animatronic jumps out and attacks her. But this one looks nightmarish. Like a nightmare Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and she fights the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 Foxy, and she wins, and all of a sudden a disc falls out of Foxy, and he falls over like just a blank animatronic. He's no longer a nightmare for some reason.
Why'd the disc fall out? She was standing.
She knocks it off while fighting.
White Snake, you know?
White Snake shit. This is an illusion disc. This is an illusion disc. I had to mentally prepare myself this morning to explain what the fucking illusion disc is.
So White Snake.
No. An illusion disc is something you can put on an animatronic and it can make them look like anything.
What year is this?
What year? The book came out in 2017.
Okay.
The year is 2004. It's looking! Holy shit! On the back it says it's from Afton Robotics, so it was made by William Afton. Woo-hoo. He's literally on some robotic shit. Holy cow!
Literally on his Eggman grind.
His Eggman grind. So the reason illusion discs are such a big deal is because there's some other Easter eggs I forgot to mention in Sister Location, despite the fact that I have goddamn notes that the facility, the underground facility in Sister Location is actually under the house in Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
God.
And there are cameras throughout the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 location that are looking into like the kid's bedroom and stuff. And then there's a stuffed Fredbear with a microphone on it. And the implication is that William Afton was watching his kids, and it was his son in FNAF 4 that died. And some people who didn't read the fucking blog post from earlier believe that this wasn't actually a nightmare at all, that it was actually done with with illusion discs, and William Afton was torturing his own son by scaring him with these creepy monsters that he was remote controlling from his underground facility. And I can see you tuned out.
I'm not tuning out. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Bro, what is this shit on?
Illusion disc.
Illusion disc.
Well, at this point, this guy is just Mad Lib throwing out internal references and connections in order to give the appearance of deep lore.
Darkness, light, friendship.
To merit his Kingdom Hearts is fame. So, yeah, the rest of the book is just like Charlie is walking around and is like, oh no, I gotta get to the bottom of this. So she goes into the underground facility and she gets trapped inside one of the animatronics who buries himself underground, and she somehow escapes that. And then, because like remember, they're like fucking saw traps inside of them. So like you're buried alive inside of like a pile of needles. How the fuck did she escape that? I don't know. She's like walking around this facility, and all of a sudden William Afton shows up in Springtrap. He is Springtrap now, and he attacks her by putting her inside of a spring lock suit, and then the spring locks actually go off and she dies.
Oh man. Oh.
And then all of her friends mourn her loss, but all of a sudden she walks in on the diner that they're at, and are like, hey guys, what's up? Twisted Ones, everybody. Twisted Ones.
That's how it ends.
Twisted Ones, Twisted Ones, Twisted Ones.
That's how it ends?
I mean, technically there's like one line at the end that's like, that's not Charlie, but that's essentially how it ends.
Oh my god.
Is there a meaning that I missed, or is it that confusing?
Yeah, it's that confusing. You gotta read the third book, The Fourth Closet, to figure it out.
Why are there 4 of them now?
It's the third book. It's called The Fourth Closet.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what the other 3 closets are?
What are the other 3 closets for?
We don't know!
One of them's the Narnia closet.
One of them is the one I'm stuck in.
So this book comes out and people are just like... And then Game Theory makes a video and is like, the
course he
illusion
does.
is torture from FNAF 4 is what's going on. And like, FNAF 4 wasn't even a dream, guys. Except you forgot the IV bag that just randomly appears behind him. What, was that just an illusion with the illusion disc? Psych, they can only affect animatronics, you clown! What are you, circus, baby?
Fuck off. This is stupid. This is stupid. Apply chapstick angrily.
For this. So then, Scott Cawthon decides he's gonna relax a little bit, and he's
He's gonna stop smoking meth.
Yeah, he's gonna stop working on horror games, and he's just gonna make a cute little tycoon game, and it's called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. And you play the game, and basically it's just like the arcade style things where you like play, like it's just like Atari mini games, but you like pick up these pizzas and you throw them at kids to feed them. But for some reason there's a weird glitch in the game where like all of a sudden they all turn into Shadow Freddys, and then the game and then the game crashes, and then you wake up in like the serious room from the Stanley Parable or some shit, where like. An interrogation room, that's what I'm looking for. Just like one spotlight on a wooden desk, and in front of you is an animatronic, and on the cassette tape is a really hot voice of a dude telling you what your job is. You are a manager at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria place, and it's your job to manage a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria place. But you also have to fulfill paragraph 4 of your contract, which stipulates that you have to bring animatronics from the back alley of the restaurant inside as salvage. This is your job. You have to do it. You are contractually obligated to do so. Plus, you'll get paid for it. So the thing is, this is my favorite game in the whole series.
Oh.
I didn't actually mention like my thoughts on Sister Location. It's just way too confusing because you jump from minigame to minigame and I can't really figure out how to play it. I watched Markiplier play it and it was enjoyable, but it's not fun. It's not that fun to play, for me at least. Pizzeria Sim is the only game of all of these on this chart that I would actually recommend to people. And the best part is that it's actually free. So you can just go home and download this game now and play it. And I'm about to advertise this game to you because you should play it if there's any of this interests you at all. If you laughed along with me, you're going to want to play this game. So what is Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator? There are 3 segments to this game. First are the day segments, where you're doing normal tycoon shit. There are 3 things that are more unique to this game than normal tycoons. What is that items can have a risk involved in it. So you can buy an item that has like a health and safety hazard attached to it, where like a kid could get injured playing on like this ball pit that's really just a cardboard box. And you'll have to like deal with that. Because if you have too much risk, you can get sued. And if you get sued, you actually have to decide whether to settle the lawsuit or to lawyer up and like try and fight the lawsuit that you got. So people can get injured at your pizzeria and you'll have to deal with it. But more importantly is that you can get sponsorships. And sponsorships, you get a bunch of money and they just advertise in your store and don't get sponsorships. Secondly, the night segments, because you have more tasks than just setting up the restaurant. You have to make sure you've ordered cups, you have to make sure you ordered napkins, you have to make sure you have posters, flyers, advertising, all that stuff all set up for your restaurant. The thing is, you have to do this in your office, which is in the vents for some reason of the facility. And so you're in the facility vents, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this. It's like the best way you could possibly do like the FNAF like rotation of game, where like it's not that you have to wait until a certain amount of time and just survive. It's that you have to get these set tasks done, but other animatronics are coming in to attack you, and you sort of have to like turn off your computer and stuff to like make it so they're not lured towards you, and then you have to play audio cues throughout the building to like lure them somewhere else. And the only way you know where they are is by using like a motion detector that only shows where they are when they're moving. So you have to be very like pay attention to where they are and sort of like how to act. And it's really, really fun because you want to get these tasks done and you're sort of balancing that with like not getting killed. I like it. I don't think I'm doing it justice by explaining it, but the third part is the part that people like the most about this game, and it's the salvaging. The salvage minigames. At the end of every night, a new animatronic appears in the back alley of your restaurant, and you have to decide whether to bring it in or not. Thing is, you're contractually obligated to bring all of them in, so they all have to be in your restaurant somehow, or you lose the game. So, the thing is, these are the animatronics that can kill you in the second night. So you want to make sure that they're as safe as possible and that they won't kill you. And the way you do that is by playing really creepy sounds and seeing if they react to them. And when you play this creepy sound, you have to document whether they move or not, but the thing is, when you look at the document to mark them down, then they move, and then you have to play like the SCP statue thing, where it's like, you gotta look at them long enough, and then you gotta tase them if they get too close, and it looks really cool. We might have an image or something up to show, like, it looks sick as heck. But the thing is, what I like about it is that Five Nights at Freddy's has been a survival horror game at heart, but they put survival horror into a tycoon game where, like, your goal isn't to get as much money as possible. It's to have enough money to survive at the end of the day, because business is cruel and capitalism sucks, and you want to make sure that you still are in business by the end. And I think they did a good job, yes.
Which is cool, because I feel like what Scott was good at in the beginning was FNAF is a resource management game that he put a horror spin on, and that was kind of new.
Yeah.
And now he's once again turning another genre into really effective indie horror just by being creative.
Yeah, and again, this is probably the most fun I've had out of all these games on the list. I would actually recommend people play this game. But you know why we're all here. We're here to talk about the lore, and I'm going to tell you what the fuck is the lore of this game. So this game takes place after Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which you might remember happens in 2023. So this game is in like a far future. Like
how far?
2 years in the future.
2026.
What?
2026, right?
2020, well, might be 2026. I've heard things from 2024 to 2027, whatever. Your character is under contract, blah, blah, blah. One of the items you can buy is called Egg Baby Data Carrier. And basically it does nothing for your store, but in the night segments, you can look at blueprints of the animatronics that you're getting, and you learn that they all have something in them called Remnant. What is Remnant? I hear nobody asking. Who asked? Did you ask? Question.
What is Remnant?
I'm so glad you asked! Holy shit! Okay, so Remnant is why the animatronics are possessed by souls of dead children. You thought it was just ghosts? You thought ghosts existed in this? You're fucking stupid, actually.
It was
It's
actually an illusion.
No, it's just science, Ed. You see, scientifically, if you mix Remnant with a machine...
What's Remnant?
The fucker watched Ruby?
Go away! Remnant.
I watched Ruby.
Remnant is it's kind of described as a force of nature, but it's more accurate to say that it's like a substance that you put into something. And it's assumed that William put this substance into all of his animatronics, not knowing what they were doing. But the idea is you put Remnant into a machine, and then you mix it with strong human emotion, and it bonds a soul to it.
This is some Scientology shit.
Yes! You figured it out! This is all a conspiracy for Scientology!
This man was practicing Nen?
This man was practicing Nen. So there are 4 animatronics you're supposed to get in this game. Molten Freddy, who turns out to actually be Ennard from Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, which you might remember as just the amalgamation of all the other animatronics. You need to get Scrap Baby, which is Circus Baby. You need to get Scrap Trap, which is Spring Trap, but burnt and destroyed, because he didn't actually die in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I lied to all of you. And then you have to get a machine called Lefty. Lefty, if you look at the blueprints, turns out to actually be Marionette that is trapped inside of a suit. Apparently Marionette was so volatile that someone had to construct a second animatronic to contain it in. And Lefty stands for Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and Extract. So yeah. William Afton experimented with the fucking Remnants there. Molten Freddy is actually Ennard, blah blah blah, salvage minigames. Oh shit! The lore mini games. Those are back. You can get like arcade machines for your restaurant, but you can also play those arcade machines. And there are 2 or 3 specifically that give you lore. In Fruity Maze, you do a bunch of shit, and you learn that William Afton killed a girl by first killing her dog and then luring her towards the dog and then killing her. Fun fact: this isn't confirmed, but it's like fan theory that's been widely accepted that dog that died is actually the one that's possessing Mangle. So that's pretty cool, right?
But wait, no one's possessing anyone because it's
Remnant,
magic.
right? Remnant is what has the soul dog soul in the thing.
Oh, so the remnant's like the conduit for the soul to stick to the.
Yes, the soul is stuck in the machines because of Remnant.
So it's still getting possessed. Remnant's just like a middleman we added now.
Yeah, Remnant's just like the anime superpowers, the catalyst.
Okay.
Right.
Same thing, just science instead of ghost powers now.
Yeah. Midnight Motorist, there's a lot that fucking happens in this. Basically, you play as an orange dude, and people freaked out with the fact that he was orange, right? People were like, like, what does this mean? What does it mean that he's orange? And it turns out that he's William Afton as well, and they just picked a different color. So William Afton goes to this store called Junior's, and then he gets kicked out, and the bouncer at the front is like, hey, you know you shouldn't be here, right? And so William Afton angrily charges back home, and then he goes to like his child's room, and he goes to like one of his kids' room, and he's like banging on the door because they locked the door, and he's like, hey, you're not supposed to lock your door. He walks out back, and then he walks and he sees like the window is broken, and there are footsteps, and also an animatronics footsteps or something, and he's like, god damn kid, got out again, fuck. And there are other things, like you find a mound of dirt or something in there, and that's Midnight Motorist. Oh. And then there's finally one more mini game where when you get the marionette in your location, because you can buy like a duplicate marionette or something, one that's not possessed specifically. And in this mini game, it's basically just explaining that there's this other kid that got killed by Purple Guy, and Marionette was meant to protect this child. And so Marionette is upset, it gets up, it walks towards where the child is in the back alley, and falls over it, and that child possesses Marionette. Remnant. Okay. Is there any more lore?
Do I need to remember all of that moving forward?
Yes.
'Cause okay.
When we get to part 2 of this lecture, I will explain this all. I will re-explain everything, and I will put it into a context that makes sense, more so than anyone has ever figured out how to make sense out of everything I just told you before.
Because I'm just a little, what is the significance of Marionette?
Marionette was the main enemy of FNAF 2. It's the one guy that put all the animatronics in all the suits.
But you'll figure out
all the kids in all the suits in the second
eventually.
game. Marionette's the reason that the animatronics are possessed, because Marionette's the one that stuffed the kids in the suits.
Why did Marionette do that? And is Marionette... No. The one fucking with the resin is William, right?
The one that's fucking with Remnant is William. He's like, let's fucking go.
And William... in this universe is Golden Freddy, but in the other universe it's Michael's who's Golden Freddy.
No. William is Golden Bonnie, who's the spring trap. In this universe, we have no clue who Golden Freddy is, but we'll get to it in the survival logbook.
Okay.
Do you need any more?
I'll ask questions if I see holes moving forward. I think I'm good.
You're not gonna not see holes, Tyler.
Okay.
I'm just gonna let you know now. This doesn't make more sense as we go along. But that is the end of Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator. We're finally gonna move on to 2018, because the first thing of FNAF media we get here is the Survival Logbook. The Survival Logbook is the Diary of a Wimpy Kid Do-It-Yourself book, but for Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, the lore of the book is that it's Michael Afton's survival guide for how to not get killed by the animatronics, but it will sometimes break out into, like activities like, hey, would you rather hang out with Circus Baby or hang out with Bonnie? Do you like ice cream or pizza? And then there's, like, there's like a word search, but all the letters that aren't a part of a word spells out "it's me" repeatedly, which I didn't mention was a thing in FNAF 1 when Golden Freddy showed up. It just says "it's me" repeatedly.
Yeah.
We still don't know who he is, but actually we do, because we learned it in the survival logbook that Golden Freddy is actually Evan. No, fuck. Golden Freddy is actually Cassidy.
What?
Who's Cassidy, you might ask?
People.
That's a good question. We also find out that the crying child from FNAF 4 is Evan, who's not Golden Freddy.
Who the fuck is Evan?
Who are these people?
The character you play in FNAF 4's name is Evan, right?
Okay.
Golden Freddy, the kid that's possessing him, is Cassidy.
From what? Preacher or what?
We just learned these names, Ed. We just learned these names. And the thing is that the main theory that was going on is that the crying child in FNAF 4 is the one that's possessing Golden Freddy, because, you know, he's the one that dies in Golden Freddy, right? Yeah. But now we learned that that's not Evan, who's the crying child, that's actually Cassidy, which is a literal who. Who?
Like who from Horton Hears a Who?
No, like we literally don't know who they are. I think it's a male name. Okay. So, Game Theory, I believe, made a video around this time, and I didn't watch the video, but it's my understanding that this is the video that proposes that the crying child from FNAF 4 and Cassidy are both possessing Golden Freddy. So there's two souls in the same suit. I don't know when this video came out. I didn't watch it. I just heard this from like cultural osmosis as I was doing research for this video. It sounds accurate. It sounds possible. Because otherwise, what the fuck happened to Evan? What the fuck is Evan's purpose? Just dying? Just a dead kid that doesn't possess something?
To be tortured by the holodisc by the secret Undertale laboratory.
Correct! You figured it out! Yes!
Oh my god.
Alright, so Ed, remember the literal what the fuck happened in the Twisted Ones that's supposed to get solved in the fourth closet?
It doesn't get solved?
It gets solved, don't worry. So, skipping around, we're going to talk about the fourth closet, skipping around a bit because the plot does not matter at all. We find out that there's multiple robots that look like Charlie, and they all have illusion discs in them to make them look like Charlie, but they're all from different points in Charlie's life. And the fourth closet is the one that contains Circus Baby.
It's the fucking Xanors.
Circus Baby has an illusion disc to make her look like Charlie, and she does some spooky shit as Charlie, who's actually Circus Baby.
So, Charlie is Circus Baby and Circus Baby is Charlie?
Charlie is Circus Baby, but also Charlie is three other robots that are in closets right now. And Circus Baby is the fourth closet. Okay, alright.
Everything's a lie.
One more thing of importance that I think we need to mention about this book is that there's another character called Carlton, who I mentioned earlier, and Carlton fights Springtrap at some point in the book. They're like throwing hands, you know? They're like, yo, let's go. And then Springtrap stabs him with like a syringe that has remnant in it. And so, I believe it's remnant. It's described as a mysterious liquid, but he goes unconscious and wakes up and he can see all the dead kids because he's in the same machines as them or whatever. So, his soul is now bound to the machine that all the kids are in, which is Ennard, if you can't recall. Or not Ennard? Hold on.
Are they all in one machine now?
In the games, I don't actually know if it's in the books. I don't think I have that written in my notes at all.
You mean Cawthon's notes?
I mean, they're my notes now. And it's Cawthon, not Cawthorn. It's okay, I forgive you though.
This time.
So, like, he gets the kids to all bond together and kill Springtrap, and they all work together to do it, and all the spirits of the kids are free, and Charlie's dead for real this time, and woo, that's the fourth closet. There's other stuff, and I don't care to explain it. Do you care about the building with the silver star? I don't.
What?
What in the building with the silver star?
That's where Aunt Jean lives, guys!
Roland, are these books like... Are these books of any quality? Or are they notably written by someone who hasn't written before?
Fans of Five Nights at Freddy's say that they like these first two books and not the third one. I say they're all garbage. Make up your own opinion.
I don't want to read them to do that.
Today.
Don't read them, Ed. Do not read them. Don't do what I did. Okay, so that's the fourth closet. And now we can move on to Ultimate Custom Night, which, fun fact, is Scott Cawthon's last game.
What?
So I mentioned that some of these games have a custom night where you can set the difficulty of various animatronics. Ultimate Custom Night is a whole new game mode where you have all the animatronics from all the other games all together, and you can set the difficulties of all of them and fight them in whatever order you want, right? And it's a fine little game where they're all together and there's lore.
Of course there is.
So, this game, because ever since FNAF World, all these games had voice acting in them. Whenever you die in Ultimate Custom Night, you get a voice line that's talking to you, the player, as if you did something wrong. Some of them will mention that you killed people and you should not have done that. And you can probably guess by now that you're playing William Afton and you're in hell.
Oh man.
Holy shit. You know, I figured that I was going to forget something in these past games, and I forgot to mention in FNAF Pizzeria Simulator, at the end of the game, the restaurant gets burned down by the guy from the cassette tapes, and you die with them. And the idea is that they were going to destroy all of the machines and, like, free all the spirits and kill William once and for all and send him to hell. And this is the game where you're William Afton in hell. Except you're not in hell yet. You're in purgatory, and one of the spirits of the dead kids is torturing you. Is it Cassidy or Evan? All we know is that it's Golden Freddy, so it's probably Cassidy. FNAF 1, everybody. Woo. Yeah. So as you can probably tell, there's a pretty clear story going on here that's really easy to read. Scott Cawthon decides that he wants to step away from game development, at least doing all of the work except for the voice acting, and so he goes to look for other companies to give the FNAF license to continue making games. And he's still going to work as like sort of a creative lead, but he's not really going to do that much development anymore. He's sort of preparing for retirement at this point, and so he.
I bet he is.
Whoop, there it is!
I bet he is.
That motherfucker.
He's probably fucking rich at this point. Like.
So.
So many games in
He
4
finds a
years.
company called Steel Wool Studios, whom before Five Nights at Freddy's, they just made like VR tech tests. Like, have you ever heard of Mars Odyssey?
No.
That is their biggest game that they've made before Five Nights at Freddy's. And they get together and they work on this game, except unlike with Scott Cawthon, where he was releasing these games like shotgun blasts, this game's development starts somewhere around 2017, 2018, and it doesn't get finished until 2019. And this is the first Five Nights at Freddy's game that gets delayed.
Never.
We're talking about real game development now, people. This game's gonna be cool because it's a VR game. And so, Help Wanted, VR game. Scott Cawthon had Steel Wool make it, and they gave him like a little thing to show what they can do, and he was like, oh, this looks pretty cool, let's make a whole game out of it. And so the idea is that it's just a remake of FNAF 1, 2, and 3 with some other mini games on top of it, right? And I can see you're very much enjoying yourself. So, there's not much to talk about gameplay-wise. There's just some mini-games you can do. It looks decent enough, especially considering that this is like a middleware company that's developing this game on VR software. Hardware. Excuse me. So Help Wanted comes out, and it's a game, so let's talk about the lore instead. Is that what you guys are here for? So the game starts, and you're on like a little like roller coaster, sort of introducing you to the game. Fazbear Entertainment, in the canon of Help Wanted, has commissioned Silver Paracel Studios, a fake game company, to make a horror-themed Freddy Fazbear game based off of these other games that some weirdo made called Scott Cawthon. And they wanted to make these games. Because Scott Cawthon, or they wanted to make this game because Scott Cawthon made these games and they were making their company look really bad, but they didn't want to sue the guy, so instead they're playing along with a joke Twitter brand style, and so they're making their own horror game. And that's Help Wanted.
Wait, So they're making a bad Five Nights at Freddy's game to play along with the joke of being bad to cover face for the fact that the person they're working with is making bad games?
Not the person they're working with. In the canon of Help Wanted, all the events of the FNAF series may or may not have happened. All we know is that these games are canon to this universe. Or this game. Yes.
Can we cut that real quick?
Cut.
Yeah.
Tell me when you start recording.
Go.
Alright. So, one thing I forgot before we move on to the lore of Help Wanted is that Ultimate Custom Night is really complicated because it's trying to fit like 50 different characters with different mechanics into the game. I have a little list here to explain a little bit of just a taste of the animatronics in there. Remember, there are 50 animatronics. I'm just going to describe some of them for you. From the text in the game itself, I have a list. Golden Freddy. When he appears after lowering your tablet, pull it back up quickly to get rid of him. Staring at him for too long will end with an unpleasant surprise. Helpy. He will appear at your desk at random when closing your tablet. Get rid of him quick or he'll end up close and personal with an air horn. Night Marionette. His presence moves randomly to different locations in your office as you play, and begins to reappear when your mouse cursor moves over him. Be quick to avoid his area in the office that he occupies or your run will end in a jump scare. Music Man. He is behind you, always, and he is sound activated. If you continue to make a lot of noise, he will slowly become more active, crashing his cymbals together faster and faster, finally ending your run with a startling face-to-face jump scare. Orville Elephant. He climbs around in the overhead duct system, making his way towards the houses that drop into your office. Use the heater to repel him, or the audio lure to hold him in place. He is fooled 10% of the time by the audio lure. He is slightly faster than Ned Bear. No questions, please. Mangle. Mangle makes his way through the vent system, but unlike the other animatronics in the vents, once he reaches the vent to your office, he will never leave. And you will enter the office the moment the vent door opens. The only way to stop is to use the vent snare, which can only be activated in one place at a time, forcing you to keep track of Mangle's location in the vents to ensure that the correct vent snare is activated. Once in your office, Mangle will hang from the ceiling, creating audio disturbances before eventually dropping down to jump scare you. Fungi. He will call you at random times in your office, and you will only have a brief amount of time to mute his call. If you fail to mute his call, he will be forced to listen to his whole thing, which will be aggravating, as well as trip any animatronics that are sensitive to noise levels. Also, the mute button will appear in unpredictable locations.
Which will be aggravating.
Chica. She hangs out in the kitchen, being generally clumsy and knocking over lots of pots and pans. In Custom Night, the kitchen is also where the music box happens to be, and while Chica doesn't care if the music box is wound up or not, she can grow tired of the music selection playing. As long as you hear the pots and pans, Chica is content. If she stops making noise, however, then she has grown tired of the song, and you'll only have a short amount of time to change it. Don't get too eager to change music selections, though, because if you change the music while Chica is happy, she will leave the kitchen and come to get you. Once she leaves the kitchen, there's no way to make her go back. Toy Freddy. Relax. Toy Freddy is retired. He sits in parts and service room playing a video game on his big screen TV. What game? Five Nights with Mr. Hugs, of course. The problem is that Toy Freddy has never been very good with video games, and if he loses, he will probably blame you for it. Check parts and services to see how he's doing in Five Nights with Mr. Hugs. There are 3 ways into his office, and the only door can be closed at a time. Click the cams on Toy Freddy's monitor, then be sure to make sure the appropriate door is closed to prevent Mr. Hugs from getting into his office. If you check on Toy Freddy and see Game Over on his screen, that means Mr. Hugs has already jump scared him, and Toy Freddy is on his way to jump scare you, blah blah blah. William Afton. Afton is distinguished as having the simplest mechanic in the game, also possibly the scariest. He will only attack once per night. There will be no way of knowing in advance when his attack will happen, or if it will happen at all. He will always attack from the vent on the right wall, and if he does, there will be a violent clamoring, and the vents and the lights will flicker. When this happens, you'll only have a fraction of a second to close the vent door, or your run will end with Afton screaming in your face. So as you can see, this game's really complicated. No, I don't know how it works, so don't ask me. I tried playing this game and I didn't understand it. I watched Markiplier play it and he didn't understand it. But someone beat this game. So there's that.
How do you beat it?
You just play the game right and not wrong.
Get good.
Get good, you loser.
But like, it's just like experimental. You just do different shit and I guess you just get somewhere after that?
You read all those descriptions, and there's 50 of them, and you figure out what they mean. And then you do it.
Fuck it, I guess.
Okay.
It's like that rainbow square tile mini game from Undertale.
Good game, yo.
It's like actually doing it in real life. Okay.
I wish that was a real thing, by the way.
Sorry for the intrusion.
It's possible to actually finish it.
Get back to Help Wanted, everybody, guys! Help Wanted. All right, so what's going on in Help Wanted? So we find tapes in the game of the developers who were working on the game at the time, and we find out one of the bug testers was getting really entranced because he found this bug in the game that he couldn't describe. It seemed to have come from some of the systems that they used, because Fazbear Entertainment gave them all their old animatronics to use for the game, but when they downloaded the software onto their computers, there's this weird bug that showed up, that there's this weird rabbit fellow that would sometimes hang around, and like the bug tester like couldn't figure out what was causing it, and he got so obsessed with this bug that he was essentially like going crazy over it, and eventually the developers found out about this bug, and they were studying it and found out that this is actually William Afton or something, because he downloaded his memory onto the fucking computer systems of Help Wanted. He always comes back, ladies and gentlemen. He now just fucking GLaDOS'd himself into the computer.
Bro's literally Xandor.
He's literally Xandor. He always comes back.
There is no end to William Afton. Oh God.
He's back.
And there are like multiple endings to this game. Sometimes you like fucking
It's like the scene from the Sonic 2 trailer.
He's back. There are like multiple endings, and one like you shut him down and you lock him in the game, but it turns out that you're the one behind the lock and he's the one that's actually free. Shovel moment. Okay. This game was pretty successful, but like, holy shit, what the fuck did we just go through already? Like, Help Wanted is just sort of a game that was like, oh, fun, now we can play all these games in VR, and we can make YouTube videos about them, because that's the big craze right now.
Money.
But also, like, do you care about the lore at this point? People care about the lore still. But, like, do you?
No.
I won't care
Did you enjoy the story I told you? Because that's the story of Help Wanted.
I will care more when we get the security breach.
I just like hearing like the ass pulls. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Just hearing about the stupid ways that they try to connect everything together.
Yeah, honestly.
That's my favorite.
That's like half the appeal.
Yeah.
So then the Fazbear Fright books come out. I didn't read these, but it's my understanding that they're just fucking weird.
That's
like
where the Springtrap male pregnancy thing comes in.
Maybe that is, and that's why I didn't know about that. But most of what I know is just this is where like we learn that Remnant was invented by a guy. And this is where we learn about Fazgoo. What?
No, that's not a real term. You just made that up.
No,
Fazgoo from Star Wars.
Question.
Can we go back? What are the Fazbear Frights?
Oh, that's a good question. I should have actually brought that up. Fazbear Frights are just Goosebump stories, but for Five Nights at Freddy's. They're just little, like, 100-page novels that are, like, telling a short story.
Anthologies.
Anthologies. Question.
Are they related to the lore, and how many are they?
I have no clue what its association with the lore is. I assume, based on the fact that it's going fucking crazy, that it's not that important. And I think there are like 20 of these, which is why I chose specifically not to read them.
You should have read them.
I read the fourth closet! I'm not gonna read Fazbear Frights!
Read Diet Goosebumps though?
No!
Dying Goosebumps.
He's not Kiyosaki dedicated.
I was on the verge.
This is around the time when like Five Nights at Freddy's starts getting like really into business, you know? And so, I forgot if it was Scott Cawthon or someone else, but someone gets commissioned to start making these, like the Silver Eyes trilogy, into like graphic novels. And they get like some really talented artists to do it, but they give them like 4 months to make a 200-page novel about the fucking books. So these come out extremely rushed, and there's some good art in it, but a lot of it is like very, very obviously they had like 10 minutes to draw this frame, so they just did the best they could. So, they get released yearly, so Silver Eyes comes out 2019, 2020 we get the Twisted Ones, 2021 we get the Fourth Closet. They're very poorly received because of the art in it, but the art is just because of the crunch time, so it's not really the fault of the artists on that. There's not really much to talk about because it's the same story. Fazbear Frights, I have no clue what the canon is for that, but I'm pretty convinced that it's just not canon because I just said Fazgoo and no one believed me. And that was real.
I'm gonna look this up.
Alright, and then we get Special Delivery. Special Delivery is an AR game, and essentially it's just like... It's just like you know, like on the 3DS, the AR games where you look at the card. It's basically that, but Five Night Feddy. We collect Remnant in this game. That's cool. There's more Remnant. You guys like Remnant?
No.
I didn't even know what that was until you started talking about it today.
Ed just found Fazgoo.
Alright, I gotta look this up.
Hashtag Ed just found Fazgoo.
Fazgoo.
I'm learning about the goo.
So is this better or worse than the 15th century animatronics in Super Cancer?
Honestly, 15th century animatronics is a really cool idea.
Okay. Alright, we're gonna move on from that. Special.
Fazgoo.
Alright, so special delivery isn't that important. It's just sort of like AR. It's like Five Nights at Freddy, but it's in your house.
Yeah, woo.
Woo! Woo! Alright. And
Go deeper.
security breach. So there's a lot of baggage behind security breach that we actually need to talk about before we can get to the game itself. So, first of all, this is like a middleware company, right? They're not known for making big games, and so this is probably the biggest project they've ever received, is to make this, because Security Breach, if you don't know, is like this big open world Five Nights at Freddy's game where like all the animatronics are around and they're chasing you and you're a little kid and oh boy, Glamrock Freddy, ooh, it's the 2050s or some shit. Ooh, mall vibes.
Mall vibes?
Mall vibes. Shit.
What the f-
Are you still reading the Fazgoo wiki?
No, I found the Springtrap male pregnancy.
Alright, well, don't show that to me. So we get teaser images for the game, and like they're just like little promotional images for the new redesigns, and we see some of the new animatronics. Glamrock Freddy, Glamrock Chica, Roxanne Wolf, who people are horny for some reason.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's the only one too, right? Yeah.
Monty, what? Oh,
Python?
you know what? You're right. They're horny for all of them. Monty Gator, Montgomery Gator, whatever his name is. We get to see all these designs for these new animatronics, but they start like editing the pictures to add like a weird bunny girl in the background with a knife. And what the fuck is up with that? Then we get like a bunch of fucking leaks because that's how it goes in the business.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. And then we get more information at a PlayStation Live event. We get like a trailer where we're looking through the security breach setting. We get to see some more of the mall. That's pretty cool. And then the thing happened. Everyone in the Five Nights at Freddy's community that I know about calls this the thing that happens. And Ed, you know a lot about the thing, right? This is the thing.
The thing?
Oh yeah, where it's like, oh, Gregory, you're not supposed to eat the whole brownie.
What the fuck? Yeah, that. So June 10th, 2021. Somebody.
The thing.
Yeah, the thing.
Okay.
June 10th, 2021. Someone decides to look up Scott Cawthon's political donations. It turns out he donated the maximum amount that he's legally allowed to Donald Trump.
Legal amount.
That's the maximum amount he's legally allowed to.
So I came into this goddamn house and was like, when are we gonna talk about the fact that Scott Cawthon likes Trump?
Yeah, he's a big old Trump supporter, and a lot of people get upset about this. And then there are like three camps that form. Yeah, sorry.
So I was gonna say on Wikipedia it says that the reason why they got upset is because the majority of the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom is LGBTQ members, and I just thought that was really funny.
Source.
I need to see if there was a source for that. I'm going on the page again.
Trust me, bro.
Ally is not an LGBTQ. Sorry, fellas. But what's important is What's important about
It's like
this?
the Chick-fil-A of gaming.
There are three camps. I'm forgetting what I'm fucking talking about. There are three camps that happen with this, and there's one group of people that are like, what the fuck? We're in the middle of like a pandemic that was caused by this asshole, kind of, or it didn't really help with it at least, and I'm mad. And there's a second camp that's like, who cares? I'm just trying to play video games. What the fuck is all this political shit? And then there's a third group that says, yes, King Base. Question. Stop! No! The merit! Jesus! So, if you don't know me, I'm a very left-leaning person. Trump kind of sucked, and I don't like him, and I think that was bad, and a lot of people would agree with me that it was bad. Woo, yeah! Yeah, clap for me, guys, I'm so brave! So, after this whole controversy comes out, Scott Cawthon decides that he's going to release a blog post explaining himself, and his basic explanation is like, yeah, guys, I'm like pro-life and shit. Yeah, did you not figure that out? I made a Christian RPG.
You could see
I'm a Christian
the signs I left in the games. You couldn't
he made
see.
the Christian RPG. It all comes full fucking circle.
Yeah,
He's been a Christian conservative this whole time. He just made a game about like ghost possessing animatronics and shit. You know.
You can do that and be a Republican.
Yeah, you literally can.
Yeah.
And he literally did.
Silly gooses.
So people are upset about him, but he decides that he's had a good run, and instead of like doing the fucking J.K. Rowling shit where you just stay around and be an asshole online, that he's just gonna retire, right? So he's like, fuck it, I'm retired, I'm no longer working on games, so long everybody, puts his hat on the door and leaves. He makes like one more blog post where he posts like fan art he received, and he says he has boxes full of like fan art that he's received throughout the years and how glad he is that the community built, and even if they reject him, he's still gonna be happy that he had this whole community around him.
Aww.
Like, yeah.
Kind of wholesome.
Kind of wholesome. Kind of wholesome. So, the security breach development team just lost their creative lead, and now they're gonna have to make the whole game on their own. And now they don't know what the fuck the lore is, so they're gonna have to make it off of the top of the head.
I'll make it.
Random thing. I just looked it up on Wikipedia that somebody changed it. Before it straight up was like the majority. It was like people of the LGBTQ community were offended, which makes up the majority of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now it says, and I quote, while the reaction to Cawthon's Reddit post was positive, reaction was mixed on social media sites like Twitter, where some members of the LGBTQ plus community, source, reacted negatively. It was there before.
That's more accurate.
It was different before. It straight up said that most of the Five Nights at Freddy's fan base was LGBTQ.
Yeah, everyone there was gay. They're all gay furries, you know.
I was like, God damn, okay, Wikipedia.
So, now what the fuck are they gonna do with Security Breach? Because they have to make this game on their own now without the guy that was meant to, like, be the lead.
Breach Security.
Breach Security is exactly what. So they start trying to do, like, they're trying to ape Scott Cawthon's, like, promo style. So, like, they make these animated shorts that are, like, Hanna-Barbera, like, Jellystone style animations. Nice. And then at the end of all these, there's, like, a little teaser where there's, like, some fucking code at the bottom that people are supposed to decode, except no one fucking did that because no one could figure it out on the internet. How the fuck to decode those? It was Gravity Falls, but no one figured it out. And then there were like some more teaser images, I guess. And then like the game was set to come out. What date? December 17th, 2021 at 3 in the morning, right? 3 in the morning, December 17th, 2021. The game gets delayed for like 10 hours so they can update the game. And it releases at 7 p.m. The download size for this game is 80 gigabytes.
What the fuck?
Shit.
That is more than Tekken 7.
More than that's
But less than GTA 5.
Like the fucking
Less than
comparison.
GTA 5,
No,
but more than Tekken
7
7.
is like stupid big for no real reason.
It is. The reason that Tekken 7 is big is because of all the video files,
Yeah, it's
right?
literally all the video files they play during the main menu. That's it.
We gotta compress that shit, bro.
Just make it like 120p resolution. So, if you ever wondered why when you watch Markiplier play this game, why it's so laggy, that's why. It's because it's unoptimized to shit. None of the files are properly compressed, and they like put way too much fucking value on like some of the models in the game. There's just like too much going on at once.
I remember, by the way, shout out to Markiplier.
That needs it.
Yeah, but because for one thing, he is a fucking trooper for going all the way through that game. I'm sure you'll talk about why.
Yeah.
But also, I was gonna say it's great. It's a great playthrough. It's a fantastic fucking playthrough.
It is.
I love Markiplier in 2022 is still as good as he was all the way back then.
I think he's gotten better.
He's gotten better.
Honestly,
He's a phenomenal fucking YouTuber. Just saying.
In
Anyways,
Space is surprisingly good.
That man is so handsome.
he's just like, and he hasn't gotten canceled yet. Like he's
He's a good person.
Anyways, what I wanted to say was literally the first episode of that Let's Play. He turns on fucking like ray tracing or some shit.
Yeah.
Because that was like something that was like advertised, and he goes into the game and he can't see anything. There's just audio and black screen. There's nothing. It's so fucked up. So would you like to get into why Security Breach sucks dick cock?
Yeah, let's talk about the game of Security Breach. So, like I said, it's very unoptimized.
Yeah.
It's very glitchy. In fact, it's so glitchy that when the game first launched, you could just clip out of bounds just by like getting into Freddy while you're like in the air. By the way,
Getting into Freddy.
Let me explain. By the way, you play as a kid named Gregory, and you remember Glamrock Freddy? I mentioned him. He's basically like a mech in this game that you can enter, and he's your friend, and he helps you out.
Freddy.
So you actually have like a fucking ally in the game now.
Yeah, you have like a little friend now, and he's literally a mech. He's a tank. You pilot him. Yeah. So, you could deload the map at any time by jumping into this. I looked at like some like reports people had about their experience playing the game. One person, there's like a segment in the game where there's a statue in the daycare center. For some reason, the statue was not downloaded into their version of the game, and whenever they got to that point, whenever that statue was loaded, the game would just crash because it's looking for a file that doesn't exist. He tried re-downloading the game and everything. He could not get this statue to show up at all. What? Yeah.
That sucks.
There's other glitches like
Good game.
there's like animatronics will just sort of like whip around. It's designed so like there are these other staff bots that are looking for you, and if you step in their line of sight, then like they alarm the animatronics around.
Yeah.
But they just teleport the animatronics to where you are because it's easier to do that than to like just have them like know your location and pathfind towards you. There's just a ton of glitches. I was watching this guy called, I think, Astral Spliff or something, who speedruns this game. He figured out how to time travel, basically because the game works on like a time system where you have to survive until 6 in the morning. Like all the time moves whenever you do a specific mission. So if you like go out of order with the missions, you can go back in time by doing a mission that you were supposed to do earlier. And so that's fun. But sometimes if you do this and it ends up at a nighttime, there's this character called Moondrop who will just teleport to you instantly and kill you. This glitch is known as TVA Moondrop, or like, what was it? Variance Authority? What was the shit from Loki? TVA. The TVA or whatever, the Time Variance Authority.
Fun fact, the world record for this game in speedrunning is like under 3 minutes.
It's like 1 minute 30.
Is it 1 minute 30 now?
It's 1 minute 30 because you can clip out of bounds whenever you get into Glamrock Freddy.
Yeah.
It's not that you clip out of bounds, it's that you unload the whole map. So you jump into him, jump out, and then there's like an ending like 3 feet away from you.
There's also a glitch that you can use, I don't know if it's been patched out yet, where you turn off the game's subtitles, or you turn the game's audio down, and then for some reason the game's audio like dictates things that happen in the game.
Yeah, so it like registers, did this sound play? If not, then wait until the sound is finished playing. So if you don't have the audio on, then you can't beat the game. It soft locks.
Yeah, it literally soft locks because you turn the volume down in the settings.
So a lot of crazy stuff like that. This game is very glitchy, and a lot of people didn't like it. I watched Coney play it. Coney's a very obscure streamer. Sub to Coney, by the way. And he had fun with it. He didn't find that many glitches, and he mostly just kept the settings down and ray tracing off and stuff like that. And he had like a lot of lag issues, and there were still tons of glitches that happened, but it was a more stable playthrough than what Markiplier went through.
Oh my god, that poor dude.
So outside of the gameplay being a fucking dumpster fire, did it have a good story?
No. Not really. No, not really.
No, everyone hated it.
Yeah, it's not good.
I had to think for a moment, but then I remembered the ending to this game, and people didn't like it.
It's stupid as hell.
So the story is just you're this little boy named Gregory. For some reason, you're trapped in the Freddy Fazcade. By the way, you're in like this futuristic like Disney. Go. Okay. So. The story is basically you play as a little boy named Gregory, you're in this place for some reason, and Glamrock Freddy's trying to help you get out of it, but for some reason you decide, hey, why don't we stay here and figure out the mystery of Five Nights at Freddy's? So you basically, in order to do that, you have to get all the animatronic parts, and so you do that by killing the animatronics. And so you like push Chica into like a meat grinder or some shit, and she gets destroyed. You run over Roxy with like a go-kart, and she gets destroyed. You literally like shoot at this thing so like a bucket falls on Monty, and he falls under the ground in this dramatic scene.
That's
and he
my favorite
dies.
one. Monty gets fucked up, dude. It's the best.
So you kill them all and you get animatronic parts to get through other parts of the facility, and then you find out that this mall was built around Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria from the past.
God damn it!
Yeah!
Not again! Who was in there?
It's the man behind the slaughter himself, William Ashton.
I'm going to rip my dick
His
off.
plan is that because of some event between Help Wanted and this game, he gets uploaded into the security breach computers.
Downloaded it.
Vanessa, I think?
Fuck Vanessa, she's a bitch.
It's basically like, it's implied that like Vanessa found the him in Help Wanted and got hypnotized, and now she's killing kids. Poor William Afton. Meanwhile, he's being uploaded into the cloud or whatever, and he's trying to download himself back into his old body and be like, I'm back, bitch.
By the way, stupid.
By the way, the way you beat him is you go to the old facility and then you download the rest of the dead children's memories into Ennard, and Ennard like fucking like kaijus his shit and like picks him up and strangles him. And like you and Freddy run out of the facility, and there are a bunch of other weird endings. Like there's one where like you and Freddy like hotwire a car and just leave, but Freddy's like, oh no, my battery power is failing. So you like hook him up to the car battery, and you just have like a buddy romance sort of thing.
So it's like Knight Rider?
Knight Rider.
So is Freddy in this game like still possessed by a kid?
It's a different Freddy, right? It's a different one.
It is a different Freddy. It's implied that he's possessed by a different kid. We'll get to that.
Well, he's not a kid. He's a real nice kid. He's a good kid. He's not the.
It is accepted by the community that he is, but it's not explicitly stated. There's like another ending where Vanny is kills Freddy by having him disassembled. And so, like, you have to go, and then you have to, like, get the... Because Vanny uses, like, a fucking Doofenshmirtz button to, like, summon all the robots to disassemble Freddy. And so you have to get that remote controller and then have them disassemble Vanny. But Vanny's, like, a human. So does she, like, get disassembled or, like, ripped apart? Or is she a human after all? Maybe she's a robot with a fucking illusion disc on her.
Oh my god!
Because in another ending, you push Vanny off the roof and she fucking dies. But then Vanny is looking over at Vanny, looking at her dead corpse, and is like, what? And in another ending, you, Freddy, and Vanny are all sitting on like a sunset at a hill, and you're like just sort of enjoying each other's company, and love wins.
Why are there multiple endings for this game?
Because the devs said so. By the way, all these endings are done in like a some of these endings are like fully animated and it looks cool. Most of them are just like comic panels that sort of fly over the screen.
Street Fighter 4 3DS.
Summer Night shit.
Summer Night shit. I want, as someone who is currently like an illustration major, I want to say that this art does not look good, and it might just be because they were in a rush to finish the development of the game. Considering how the comics ended up, I would believe that 100%. But I looked at this illustration, and I could do a whole breakdown if I wanted to about why it doesn't look very good.
Oh man.
I just want to say too, the ending where Freddy gets disassembled, they try to make it like really emotional, but he literally just gets jumped by a bunch of these fucking skinny ass robots, and they just beat the shit out of him with wrenches. Yeah, and you just see him get like jumped by these fucking robots, while Gregory's like,
And like the thing is that this cutscene literally plays right after you just decide to like when you get to the end of the game and you just select let's go after Vanny.
Yeah,
and then you just go to the end of the game and you're like let's hunt down Vanny, and then this cutscene plays. We're just getting fucking dissimilated.
But at least Vanny gets fucked up too.
All right.
You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, there's a cost to our action.
All right. So Markiplier played this game. It did not go well. Game Theory decides to make a video on it.
Of course they do.
And the conclusion he comes to is that Gregory is a robot using an illusion disc to fucking look like
No, you're actually playing. That sounds like something you would say as
No, this was like a meme.
I remember seeing
Yeah, because it was like Gregory is actually the crying child from FNAF 4, and this was his whole theory is that they're the same person, and that Gregory is a robot.
I hate everything.
So the problem is that this theory does make some lick of sense. Like when Vanny sort of approaches you, when she gets close, there's like a glitch effect that happens on your screen, implying that there's like some computerized element in your eyes that is causing it. However, in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, this happens too, and it's very clear that you're not a robot in this game, unless you want to say that you're playing as some guy with an illusion disc in or some shit. But I'm not. No. There's other stuff that makes sense. Like there's a line where Freddy says like I can see you are broken instead of saying like you are bleeding or you are injured. This seems to be more like of a censorship thing because they wanted to give this game an E rating, so they removed all the references of dead. Yeah, because they wanted to remove all the references to dead children and stuff, and so they removed all the violence. That's also why Vanny doesn't have a knife in the game.
That's a horror game.
Yeah. For kids! What? It plays like Amnesia, but for kids!
I'm gonna literally remove myself from the senses.
There's other stuff. The theory could hold water, but I don't think it does. I've heard good arguments on both sides, and the conclusion I come to is he probably is. Honestly, with how fucking stupid the story has gotten up to this point, that makes more sense than he's just a kid that no one knows of. He doesn't have any parents. He doesn't seem to have any record in like he doesn't seem to have a birth certificate or anything. There's just no explanation for where he is, yeah?
So, this fucker is a robot climbing into another robot who's actually possessed by the soul of a dead child.
And Gregory might also be possessed by a dead child, but we won't get into that.
He's possessed by
This
himself.
could just be like a result of like whatever future hellscape they live in. Because remember, this is a world where bears went extinct.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Right?
When was that a thing?
Like people were sharing screenshots of like some exhibit thing in the game where they're talking about like the origins of like Freddy, and they said he was based off a now extinct animal.
I don't remember that.
Something
is that
like
in the game?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know. I didn't know about that.
So if this is a world where they allow bears to go extinct, who knows what else is fucked up?
Five Nights at Freddy is dead, maybe? Who knows? Yeah.
Glamrock Freddy is actually possessed by a bear.
Glamrock Freddy is actually possessed by Michael Afton. I'll have you know.
Alright, moving on.
Right, moving on. So this is the game theory video. This is highly debated, but there's like a war on both sides, and they both seem to like dispute with each other. I think it holds water, but I have a hard time believing the evidence game theory shows. I mostly believe it because it makes more stuff in this game make sense. What else? What else do we need to talk about in this goddamn motherfucking game? Not really much. That's essentially all of it. That's the series. That's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Until the next game.
Until the next game.
Where's Scott Cawthon now, bro? Scott
Cawthon is retired. He is right now living in his mansion, wondering where this book is. So, Scott, if you're watching it, I'm gonna tell people everything. All right. Next time, part 2 of Five Nights at Freddy's lecture.
Part 2.
We're going to look through all of this and figure out what all of this shit means.
What?
That's right. You know, you thought this stuff was crazy? Guess what? I translated it to English for you guys. And next time, we're gonna actually explain how this app makes any sense at all. Everything I talked about, it's gonna make sense. Believe me.
I'll try it.
Part 2, everybody, let's go!
What's with the I am cringe, but I'm also free?
This is the catchphrase for
That's
today's.
the motto.
That's the motto for today's lecture.
I was about to say,
Because Five Nights at Freddy may be cringe. You may think it is cringe. I don't fucking care. I am free. You can't stop me. You can't stop what I'm about to do, Scott Cawthon.